let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down. Get up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down.
Shout out Young Swish.
Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Sit Down with Malik Wright's NFL Draft Coverage Day 3. I am your host, Malik Wright, joined by my co-host as always, Daniel Alameda, Logan Fulmer, the State of the Jungle crew. And listen, we're excited, man. The first two rounds were pretty exciting. Obviously, the Bengals have a selection in the fourth round. They don't have a selection in the fifth round, so we're planning right now to only be live for the entire fourth round because you just never know what could happen, and you never know who might make a trade up. But listen, while we got you guys here, if you guys could do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or when we upload content from the TWSN studios. Boys, the Bengals walked away in yesterday's draft, round 2, with Cassius Howell, Takario Davis, right? There was a lot of murmurs, a lot of people unsettled after the Takario Davis pick. I think now that everybody's had a chance to let it digest, we understand the vision. We like the vision. We understand what the Bengals are going for. It's a rare specimen, getting a 6'4" corner who tested like an absolute freak, who has ball skills that are undeniable. Listen, I'm excited to see what happens in the draft. We have the Raiders just obviously trade up here with the first pick. But guys, enough about that. Tell me what you guys are looking forward to on day 3 of the NFL draft. Who are some of the prospects you got to keep your eyes on? We still got a certain prospect still sitting out there, obviously, with some injury concerns. But give me your thoughts so far.
I think I'm looking at some of these offensive linemen here for the Bengals early. I still would strongly consider looking at some of these corners, even though we did draft one in Davis, and I was a fan of that pick. The room is still pretty thin, and maybe you can kind of hit that slot here, maybe if that's what you wanted, or just another versatile guy. I think that is definitely in play. I think those would be kind of just the corners might just end up being a BPA at this point, and some of the offensive linemen aren't far behind. Sam Hecht is a good center. We've talked about a number of times throughout the War Room episodes. Brian Parker as well. I think if the Bengals are looking to get that potential center of the future, or just depth for now, like the fourth round is probably that good value to do so. But again, I'm looking at those two positions for me. I think those are the two positions I would continue to attack. And then at that point, I mean, we talked about yesterday the tight ends. It would surprise me if the Bengals dip into that eventually. Again, there's just been so many of them that I think some of those still present good value. I still like Justin Jolly here, Royer, like Trigg even. There's a number of interesting options at the tight end room. But for me, I'm going to be watching the corners, specifically the slots and linemen.
They do it?
The Raiders do it.
Wow.
The Raiders do it. The Raiders, with the first pick in the fourth round, take cornerback Jermod McCoy.
Good for him.
Wow.
Good for him.
Good for him. Right? This is a prospect that fell way further than many people thought he should. The Raiders obviously wanted to leave nothing to chance, right? They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. We'll see what happens in Vegas. We'll see if he winds up being we'll see if he winds up being the player that they are hope that they're getting, especially in the fourth round. But you can't argue with the value at this spot, right?
No.
The cost is very minimal there. And I think that for a guy that was considered in many people's eyes cornerback one of this draft class might have been a home run get. So congrats to the Raiders.
Yeah, good for them, man. Good for them for trading up too. This is a spot where day 3, you guys are going to see some weird names flying off the board saying, "Who the hell is that guy?" I always say, when a team has a day or give it 8 hours to sleep on it, a lot of times they will say, we have to be that team. And I really think that that's what the Raiders said, looking at, their entire draft class. We were just talking about it before. It's a solid draft class. It's a little bit weird, right? They went Stukes. They got Trey Zune. They got Kieran Crawford. This is a team that you're playing the long game, right? You're trying to set the table for your quarterback this year. And I don't hate this pick. And at the end of the day, I see a lot of people, whether it's, Bengals fans or even other fans, in the NFL saying, "Oh, we should have went and got McCoy earlier." Every team passed on him. every single
Everybody.
team passed on him. So you just hope that he comes out and you hope that he's able to be healthy, because I do think if this dude is healthy, we're going to see a very good player for the Raiders. So good on them for going out and actually doing it. But, just going back to the board, I think that this is a board where, we got 8 picks until the
Yeah.
Bengals are on the board, on the clock. You're gonna have a guy, and I think Logan, you did a good job of breaking it down. The positions that the Bengals should be looking at. You're not forced to draft something, right? You're not forced to draft a starting role right now. You're looking for the role players, and I think what I'm looking is the offensive line for sure, right? I
Mhm.
do think that swing tackle spot is a major position of not necessarily need, but it's something that is valuable in the NFL. So I like the swing tackle spot. I like the center position. Pat Coogan is definitely one of my favorite guys, and
Yeah.
I think that he is going to be one of those players. And we've talked about this on the past. It seems like day 3 is that time where teams take those guys and they can slot in as a starter. And it's really the center position is one of those positions. You can look at the Indianapolis Colts, from last year or 2 years ago, getting Tanner Bortolini. I think that's a spot where one of these teams like the Ravens, if they take Pat Coogan, I think he slides in day 1
that'd be really
and is a
good.
starter.
Be good fit for
So
them.
maybe, you may say, oh, it's a reach for the Bengals. But I think at this point, you just take a guy that you see value. And I think Pat Coogan is one of those guys. The slot, cornerback position is another one. Obviously, we listened to the Al Golden press conference. Malik, you brought it up on the show yesterday that they see, Takario Davis being able to play boundary corner, also coming in and guarding the tight ends.
Mhm.
But you could still use that slot role. So I think if you're going after it, Keontae Scott is probably the guy. Jalen Kilgore is another guy if we're talking round 4 specifically. But outside of that, I really wouldn't be shocked to just see them take a swing on somebody, right? We talked about Kyle Lewis, who's just a quality linebacker. I don't know if they will go linebacker, but there are guys on the board that I can really see being starting caliber players, within a year. So
Yeah. Another kind of offensive tackle to keep in mind here potentially. Travis Burke got a lot of steam late in this draft process. Just a 6'9" tackle that met with a ton of teams. We know the Bengals have historically really valued height and length at the position, and he has a ton of it. Isaiah World does too. I don't think they would go into that a little bit, but I think Travis Burke would be a popular shout here if we were going to look at true tackles. I think he would be high on the list for them. I mean, the tackles are thin at this point, to be honest with you. Like, there's not. That's why I would value more the versatility of, Brian Parker and some of these guys that can give you that flexibility in a pinch. Because like Rivers has played tackle, Cody Ford was a tackle coming up. Like, you don't feel great about any of those guys, but at least just having people that can move around and do a number of different things is extremely valuable. That's something I preach every year as we get into these late rounds, is finding guys that can just fill a number of different roles, special teams, depth, versatility, and just pure upside. I think those are the things you look for at this point in the draft. And I think there's a number of guys that can fill that. It's just going to be interesting to kind of see what route we decide to go to do so.
Yes, sir. So we had a super chat from Secrets. He's been, rocking with us the entire draft stream from day 1 and day 2. He said, I'd love to take a flyer on Harold
There goes a
Perkins
tackle
Jr.
from the Bills.
Mhm.
Jude Bowery.
Yeah.
I know some people thought the Bengals were gonna go after him there.
Yeah, solid player, nothing crazy. I mean, that's how a lot of these guys are. Be a little bit bigger, 6'5", 320 of a guy, a little bit more flexibility potentially for them. Boston College is a little bit not the biggest school in the world, not the worst school in the world either. But I'm not upset about it. I think the Bengals would prefer other tackles at least. But a solid pick there for the Bills nonetheless.
So yeah, we had some people talking Trey Zune. Trey Zune's gone. He was drafted to the Raiders. But
pick.
yeah, just going back, Harold Perkins real quick. Like, I'm kind of good here in the spot. I don't really think you necessarily need him. Like, he's a player I do think is a good flyer on day 3 for a team. I'm just kind of good for the Bengals right now. Like, at this spot, like,
this round's a little rich. It's definitely a little rich at this point, but I mean, like we were talking about a little bit earlier with
These picks are flying.
I know.
Mhm.
With the Cassius Howe pick, like, it opens up to the potential of adding a guy like Harold Perkins, that tweener build that can do a little bit of everything for you. Like, if we're going into that mold, Harold Perkins would be awesome. It'd be really fun, high upside pick. Talk about swinging for upside again.
Darrell Jackson.
Who?
Darrell Jackson.
Oh, him and Tavondre Sweat, baby.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah. The Jets are having an interesting
Yeah.
draft. Pons. They had Cooper, Sadiq,
David Bailey.
David Bailey. Interesting. Like, again, it's not my favorite grouping of players, but like
Mhm.
it's just like the Browns we talked about. They just need so much. Like if the fit doesn't make sense, whatever. They're adding talented players, and they'll figure it out later. Like there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Yeah, man.
God, they are flying. It's exciting.
Yeah.
We're coming up in what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now.
Who knows? You might come back up again.
Oh
all right?
lordy,
You might come back
Oh,
up again.
lordy, oh,
might trade
lordy.
back, come back up again. We'll see. I feel like this is a spot where it makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, we had IC was asking who's your guys' top 3 in the board for the Bengals right now. Who would you guys be looking at? You know, I would probably say, just looking at it, I do, and I'll just give you guys 3 different positions. I'd say Pat Coogan, and once again, this is just best player available for me. I think that this is a guy that slots in and can be a starter day one at the center position, but you just need somebody as a backup. So he would be on my top 3. I would probably obviously give Keontae Scott, one of the favorites, just immediately slots in. He's an older prospect, but a guy that can fill a need, and quite frankly, I think is something that the Bengals should be interested in. You know, having been interested in that position in the past. You can obviously look at Mike Hilton. And then for number 3, I would probably go, oh man, I'm just gonna say Deion Burks, man. He's one of my favorite wide receivers in this class. This is a 5'9", 5'10" wide receiver, but juiced up. And we're talking about a guy that played at a team in Oklahoma. He didn't get much run, but when they finally got it going with their quarterback, once he came back from his injury, it was lights out. This dude had some massive performances at the end of the season, but we're talking about a wide receiver that can go up and get the 50-50 ball. It's just an explosive athlete after the catch. I don't necessarily know if the Bengals will end up going wide receiver, but he's a player where I'm very confident he's going to go to a team and at least compete for that backup wide receiving role. So those are 3 guys I just undoubtedly, if they are drafted the Bengals, just phenomenal talents at this round 4 spot. But
I think for me, Brian Parker, a guy we've talked about a lot, I think makes a ton of sense here. But I also like Connor Liu from Auburn, another young center. So I'll kind of throw those in there as one kind of position and interior offensive lineman. And then I'm going to go back into the secondary. I think Jalen Kilgore still makes a ton of sense, some flexibility there. Same thing with Kamari Ramsey. A little bit more of a slot kind of guy that can do a bunch of different things. But I still like a lot of the value at the corner. Like I think looking at it, my highest rated player available would probably be Keith Abney still. Just a guy that provides some more inside out versatility, a really sure tackler. I don't know if he'll go back into the secondary at this point, but I do think there's a really large argument for secondary still being the best player available.
Yeah.
Well, the guys kind of already took a lot of the guys that I was already going to say, so I'm not going to spoil by kind of explaining them again. But Pat Coogan, I think, makes a lot of sense here. I feel like we saw a bunch of the centers fly off the board already. I feel like this is a guy that could easily come in whenever Ted Karras decides to hang it up and slot right in and be that starting center. I also think he has versatility to also come in as a backup interior offensive lineman. All right, I think that's going to be a guy that's going to be able to find you're going to be able to find a spot for him on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Logan stole my shout. Kamari Ramsey is a guy that I love. I think he makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. I think that he can come in and fill even the role that Kyle Duggar, right? You brought Kyle Duggar to come in and do. And this is a guy that I think will compete early on for snaps. And I think he'd be a hard guy to kind of keep off the board. There's a bunch of names too the Bengals could go with. Sam Hetch, we've talked about, right? Yep. Keith Abney, slot corner. Jalen Kilgore, a guy who the Bengals showed interest in. Kyle Lewis, right? Linebacker as well. But I don't think you need to necessarily force that spot. Got to go with the best position available. It feels like offensive line could be the spot where they go, right? It's kind of hard to envision them going defense 3 picks in a row. Yeah. But honestly, trusting the board, I would trust the board. Yeah, I would just go with what the board is saying. I feel like defense might be the best player you can get.
Yeah, I think there's an argument for some of the centers to kind of be up there too. You were saying, Lou is a guy we haven't really talked about too much because a lot of times he was gone here in the 4th round. But again, another younger center that has played very well in the SEC, and it's definitely something to consider, especially just with that age factor. Like I said, being one of the younger players in the draft, one of the younger offensive linemen, coming off some injuries, of course, but that's probably why he's here. Coming off a healthy season, there's a good chance he would be gone by this point.
Yeah, I think, just looking at that and even looking at the way that the draft fell, we talked about this yesterday on the show, but interior offensive linemen, it seems like, especially the guard spot, I mean, some of those guys really fell. Emmanuel Pregnon fell a little bit. Caleb Proctor, that's a good pick.
That's a very fun compliment to Walter Nolan last year.
Listen, I'm not gonna say that made up for Carson Beck yesterday, but this is a player. Honestly, when the Bengals weren't in discussions for Dexter Lawrence. He was a guy I really liked in day 3.
Yeah.
You know, just looking at it, small school guy, but you talk about that 3 tech role, that guy that can play that pass rushing from the inside. This guy can do it. The biggest knock on him is he didn't have much competition, but as is shown on the TV, he had a phenomenal game against LSU. And this is a guy, when you look at the Cardinals, this is kind of what I expected for them, right? You hope that they would attack the trenches. Like I said, I thought the Carson Beck pick was a little, I'm just not a fan of it. But
Yeah.
I think that Caleb Proctor's a guy we could be talking about and saying, hey, him and Walter Nolan, and maybe I'm just reaching on Proctor right now, but I really rate his pass rushing upside. But just going back to the offensive line real quick, I think that the spot that the Bengals, they should be attacking. Another name I want to bring up was Jeremiah Wright from Auburn. I'm a big fan of him, and I think that he is a Bengals type of pick. Yeah, and he really is the mold of guys that they like. First off, this is a guy who was, extremely experienced at Auburn. He's a 4-year starter. The dude played 2,000 snaps, can slot in left guard and right guard. And these are the type of picks where when we talk about the Bengals, that's kind of what I want, right? I just want a guy in this day 3. I would like to leave with an offensive lineman that we can all kind of envision saying, hey, if somebody goes down, we're confident that this guy can step in.
There was a lot of smoke behind the Cincinnati Bengals potentially drafting the Oklahoma Sooners guard, Bebechi Nweu, because he does have that positional versatility where he can play guard or center. So I guess you can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone there. We'll see if they actually pull the trigger on him. But I feel like there's some offensive linemen that I would personally prefer over him. But again, you can't fault them for having a type or wanting a guy that they're kind of sold on as well. We'll see though.
Yeah. Just going back to yesterday, I thought it was funny. I didn't realize, like, obviously, I watched Markel Bell and we know his size, but I was just looking at Eagles Twitter and really just seeing what, his size comparison. That dude is huge. I didn't realize he's 6'9".
Yeah.
Like
massive.
And this is the type of day where it's not the teams that go out and get the superstars, but this is, if you can find a gem that can just be a starter, can be a replacement guy, that's what I'm looking for. And that's why I think, and it's important that we are kind of discussing this pick very specifically, because the Bengals don't pick up until 80 more picks, and at that point, like I said, you're basically drafting guys that could be undrafted, free agents that you sign. So this is one of the last picks where we're gonna be grading this, that this guy should be a backup quality player, and there's some good guys left on the board. So if you guys can, drop down you guys' questions and drop down who you guys want. We got some people, kind of firing some names. Regmaster 2000 said, "What's you guys' thoughts on Grayson Halton for the Bengals?"
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a lot of bodies in that room, but I think at this point, like, obviously, I think the pass rushing upside is still something they could use there. I mean, especially in the depth role, getting some youth in that. Halton was a guy that was shooting up a lot of draft boards before the draft, after the combine, due to his elite testing. But he's still a really good player. He's a really finesse gap shooting defensive tackle that would complement the room really well. But if you're looking at it from the Bengals perspective, that means you're gonna have to, you'll probably be moving on from at least 2 of the defensive tackles if you were to draft another one. That doesn't mean they won't do that. But if you draft one here, especially after adding Dexter Lawrence, I mean, Jordan Jefferson could easily be gone. McKinley Jackson could be gone. Slayton could be gone. Like, there's still people that could be moved and cut if you were to add another one. I think he's very in the conversation of being best player available. So from that standpoint, I wouldn't mind it. But just looking at it from a Bengals lens, I don't know if I see them adding another body to the defensive tackle room, even though I'm not saying they shouldn't, but just I don't know if I see them doing it.
I would agree.
Keontae Scott, let's talk about him though.
Yeah.
Like, again, we know there's smoke with Bebechi, right? We know that offensive line can make a lot of sense here, but I feel like the value here, man, for the secondary makes a lot of sense too. And Keontae Scott is a guy who would easily slot in day 1 as your slot corner.
Yeah. I don't like my qualms with Scott were just where he was projected to go, But now you're set in the 4th round, the age factors go out the window. You're looking for a player that can come in and he would fight for a starting job right away. He'd be an elite special teamer right away. And that's what I said. Is you're drafting people in these rounds, you're looking for specifics, and he has a very specific role. He has a very specific skill set, and you can use him in that thing, and it just kind of fits what we need at this point.
Like, they need offensive line, but right now, man, I just feel like some of the names still on the board defensively just
Brendan
are
Thompson,
going to be too hard to
man.
pass up on, man.
That's an interesting one.
That's where I land. I think that some of the names going to be too hard to pass up on defensively. I mean, Kamari Ramsey, getting him in the 4th round potentially.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What? This is a guy that we thought was
There's
a
a
second.
ton of quality players,
Right,
bro.
man.
Yeah.
You've got to try. I'll keep saying this. I'm a fan of trusting the board. Just
Mhm.
trust the board. Let's see
Yeah.
how the board falls, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Interesting
No.
pick here.
Yeah. I mean, Brendan Thompson, I saw we had, I believe
a
Tom
blazer.
talked about that in the chat, saying what you guys thoughts on Brendan Thompson. But Malik, going back to your point, like the guys that I see, and I'll just list them. I think that Keontae Scott, and once again, I know he's on the big board. And I know he's number 1 right now. Undoubtedly, he could slot in day 1 and be that guy.
Mhm.
Like the qualms about him, like you were saying, it's the age. It's maybe he's not the best at covering longer, taller, wide receivers, but you see this guy and his ability to be that blitzer in the slot. He is just able to have a nose for the football, and for me, like that is a position that I value. And you throw him into this Bengals secondary. That means you don't have to mix and match a guy. If somebody goes down, you don't have to throw Dax into the slot. You can trust a guy like Keontae Scott to come in and be that dog off of the edge if you're using him on cornerback blitzes.
Yeah.
So
His
I'm a big fan of him.
his skill
Guys,
set.
sorry to cut you off, guys. We're well aware that Nuewu that's been rumored, and we all do. I don't think anybody's making a hot take here. I think everybody knows that there's been smoke there. We'll see if that's the pick, though.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I would say with Scott, like we talked a little bit about Mike Hilton yesterday. And we're like the comparisons are there for how they should be used. They're blitzing, they're downhill slots, that again, play the run well, blitz well, don't really ask them to cover. That's what you would be asking him to do. The more you try to trust him in legit coverage situations, the more he would struggle. But again, those are the people you're drafting at this point. He has an elite value as a blitzer, as a run defender at the slot, which is so important. So again, that's a role, that's a valuable thing to do. The slot position is growing in value, in my opinion. There'd be no problem with it at this point. I hated it in the second and third round, what people were discussing before. But again, we're in the fourth.
The Texans swiped him from the Bengals.
Who?
Fabechi.
Really?
It's a good
Fabechi
pick.
Nuewu.
Wow.
Fabechi Nuewu is a Texan. Wow.
I guess everybody did know.
Yeah.
I guess everybody
Yeah.
did. A little bit of a sigh of relief for me a little bit.
Yeah,
Like
that's kinda
not
good.
that like I don't like the guy or whatever. I like a little bit more. I just like other options. I don't mind it. I wouldn't have hated it if he was a Bengal either. There's a lot of things to like, but the Texans need offensive line, so they clearly
I'm happy.
I mean
Take him.
yeah.
I'm good.
Take him.
Yeah, because I mean I still think there's some solid offensive linemen available. Yeah, I'm not too worried.
And I
about
like
it.
Nuewu. Let me just say that I like
Me
him. I just
too.
think that, again, sometimes you go into the draft already. It's like, I want this guy
Mhm.
already. But now, would this force you to either trade back or draft best player available? Like, to me, that's what it is. You know what I mean? If that guy that you kind of pinpoint yourself and you say, this is a guy that I want,
Mhm.
is not available, would this now force you to really go best player available and not pigeonhole yourself to just saying, hey, and that's not to say he's not going to be a great player. I think Fabechi's going to be a good player for the Texans. And the Texans needed to address the guard spot, even though they draft Keelan Rutledge.
Yeah, a little bit more of a developmental guy for them.
Yeah.
But they just need offensive line talent so bad.
Yeah.
So it makes a little more sense for them, I'd say, for sure.
Yeah.
49ers, Broncos, Chiefs, and then us.
Mm-hmm.
Close.
It's coming up, man.
Yeah, man.
I mean, none of these guys that have gone bother me so far for the Bengals. Obviously McCoy, but I don't really count that. Anybody can take that flyer at any time. The two offensive linemen don't really bother me. And the defensive tackles I do think are good players. But again, I'm not sure that that's a pool the Bengals would have dipped back into.
Mhm.
Brendan Thompson, I guess honestly would have made some sense, but I don't know if they're going to go that route. And I think if they were, I don't know if that's a guy they would take. But
I don't
so
think
far, I mean, I'm not concerned with the guys who have gone before us so far.
Yeah,
Which is a good thing.
a couple rapid fire ones. People are asking, what you guys' thoughts on Kyle Lewis? Real quick.
Good
That was
hybrid.
from Atlanta, man.
Good hybrid player that can do a number of different things. If we wouldn't have drafted Cassius Howe, I would have said there's probably no way we would do that. But we're bucking a lot of trends. He can do a lot of things. Really good football player. The fit would be interesting, obviously, but a fun player nonetheless. I wouldn't be too upset about it.
And then Dree Rush said, what you guys' thoughts on Jalen Kilgore?
I mean, he's a little bit more of your inside outside hybrid versatility defensive back. He's a little bit bigger, 6'1", over 200 pounds. He would probably be a guy that comes in and competes for the slot and does all these things again right away. They met with him. Really good player. I mean, not really good player, but a really solid pick, a really good player for the picks that are remaining. I'm sure he's at the top of a number of teams' boards. Yeah, nothing I'm like pounding to get with Kilgore. I do like the player, but especially with Davis, I'm not super itching for a corner. But I do, if we were to dip back into that water, he would be near the top of the list.
Completely. And then we had two more. We had from Zenario. He said, "What about Brian Parker?"
Yeah, Parker is the guy who I would prefer here in general. He gives you a lot of positional flexibility, tackle, guard, center, which is exactly what the Bengals want. I think drafting a guy like that now allows you not to feel the need to draft another offensive lineman later, which could be good value for the Bengals, not having to get that swing tackle, like that designated swing tackle, because maybe Brian Parker can come in a pinch and provide you that flexibility. But he can still be that center of the future. He can be a competitive backup guard if you need him to. Like I love the versatility that he provides.
Completely.
Broncos take a running back.
Ooh.
So we're coming up.
So who are the Niners taking?
I don't know. I got the notification the Broncos took a run. Jonah Coleman.
Ooh.
So
For Denver? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm personally not the biggest fan of him, but super productive guy, both at U of A and at Washington. Huh. Yeah, so I wonder who the 49ers are taking.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get off the phone out of the comments. You can tell us the Bengals pick
Yeah.
when it comes up. But yeah, I'm interested to see what the 49ers do.
So we
They
had
took their running back, I guess, already. We did talk about it. We talked about the Keon Black pick yesterday being kind of weird, but like I said, we didn't talk about that was the guy that the Bengals drove from Chicago. So who knows if that would have been a target by any means, but it is. I think it's noteworthy to bring that up as well.
Yes, sir. So we had Tom Jones asking us to do the post-it. First off, if you guys are watching this, drop down you guys' prediction right now. We're 2 picks away from the Bengals pick. Drop down who you guys want, who you guys think the Bengals should take. Fill that in now, and I'd be curious to see if somebody gets it right. I'm gonna write down a name. I mean, I still got mine from yesterday.
I'm gonna write down mine.
I still got mine from yesterday.
Right?
Mine too.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah.
I still got mine from yesterday, man.
Zoom in on that. Yeah, that's crazy. It's Takaria Davis. That's right. I forgot.
Holy crap! Like nailed it. I wrote
Nailed
down
that one.
my prediction and the Bengals prediction again. We'll see what they do, but
yeah, let me write down.
and it's an interesting spot. Like, not that we took massive risks with the first couple players at all, but I do think they are players with some obvious, downsides and maybe some limitedness to their games, but they're really fun players that can be great in the roles that you play. So I'm interested to see if they continue that trend or if they go just with like a really rock solid player that isn't the highest upside. I'm just interested to see what they do here. I think this draft has really, again, opened the possibility for a number of different things. And I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, man. Sorry, I'm writing down mine real quick.
I wrote down two. I wrote down mine and then what I think the Bengals are going to do.
Let's see. Yeah, that's weird. Running backs are, and I know somebody asked about running backs. Mike Washington is still on the board. Obviously, you got Emmett Johnson, Adam Randall, Eli Heidenreich. I'm not sure if the Bengals would go running back here, but
I don't think so either.
Just because I think that they could go. You got so many different positions.
The receivers are still good. I mean, if we took Skylar Bell in the second round the other day.
Yeah, we took it, and he's still here, round 4.
Still here. That'd be fun at this point. I still like Bryce Lance's fit with the team too, and a little bit more of that vertical stretching. Outside receiver, just with elite speed, elite athleticism, he'd be interesting. I still like the tight ends too. Justin Jelly would be really fun. Again, we talked about the linemen a little bit. At this point, I'm interested to see if they dip back into linebacker. They can go a number of different ways here, obviously, which is fun, which is why it's so exciting to kind of sit back and see how this unfolds. Grayson Halton
to the Niners.
Wow,
that is a good one.
Oh man, they got Oso Odigizara, and
they've been really trying to hit home with that defensive tackle.
Alfred Collins,
Halton, Sel Michael Williams,
Bosa still.
Who were the early picks? Well, they reached on Stribling.
Yeah, they had Stribling, Romello Height, somebody else that sucked. Oh, Keon Black. Sorry. Now Grayson Halton.
That's a good pick.
This is their best pick of the draft. They would have drafted him at 33. I don't think anybody would have batted an eye.
Yeah, man.
But I don't know. It is what it is.
So Kansas City.
Good pick here, though.
And then the Bengals.
Yep, Kansas City and then us.
Man, I forgot about Landon Robinson. I hope not here, man.
I don't think
round 4, man.
I don't know if they're going to dip back into that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm turning off the chat real quick.
Yeah,
so I can.
We'll let Blake tell us when it comes in. Oh god,
Yeah,
but in
got the
general,
post.
I mean, we know the Broncos go Jonah Coleman, so the Chiefs could go a number of different ways. I mean, maybe the Chiefs dip back into the receiver pool and add one of those
Bro,
guys. Like,
Chiefs have
yeah.
had
or honestly, they could go tight end too. Maybe they add, a little bit of a not necessarily tight end of the future.
Michael
Trigg, Jolly.
Yeah.
I think those guys make some sense for them. I mean, there's some good value at corner for them too. If they really wanted to double dip, again, we've talked about them a lot. They could add Keontae Scott, and I think that'd be good for them. They can add Keith Abney. They could add Kilgore. I think they have some similar needs at this point than we did. They could even go offensive line. I think the people we're looking at right now could be pretty similar to what the Chiefs are.
Brian Parker, I think,
looking at.
I think
honestly.
could be a Kansas City Chief pick.
I think they could go, easily. I mean, their interior is good, but I don't know what their contract situation is, but they can't be paying them all forever.
Who?
Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey.
Oh, that's true.
Like, so it'll be interesting. Have they didn't take a tackle?
Nope,
did
didn't
they?
take. Well, they also said, and not that this matters, but they said round one they pretty much smoke screened it. They're like, oh, everybody thought we were taking offensive line.
I don't think anybody thought that though.
Honestly, I ain't gonna lie, I did.
Like, yeah,
I ain't
but
gonna lie.
I think it was but that was just like a reasonable assumption. I
Yeah.
don't think they were like
Locked in. Yep.
Yeah, like it wasn't. They took R. Mason Thomas too. So
That's right,
they had 2 firsts and a second.
They went all defense, so they probably go offense.
So they got to be going to tackle they like here. If I
or
had to guess, an offensive line.
oh Lord,
An
sorry,
offensive-
traded back.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Did we really?
Yeah,
That's fine.
Did we really?
Yep.
Yeah. The Bengals acquired 128th, 140th overall picks
Oh.
from the Jets in exchange for 110 and 199.
Not bad. So you get one. Ooh, okay.
Repeat it for me.
So the Bengals acquired 128 and 140 in exchange for 110 and 199.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm cool with that.
I like
I'm cool
that.
with that.
I like that.
They needed that.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. That's good. That's good. And just for context for everybody, the Bengals were without a pick for 80 picks. We talked about this on the War Room. I like that deal. The fact that you can get 2 picks within that 20 range.
Mm-hmm.
I like
That's
that.
huge.
All right. All right. Well, post it. You will be waiting.
Yeah. Hopefully it's still right. I mean, that's an 18 pick move back for the first pick. I don't know. I was trying to find the numbers again because for some
Let's
reason
see.
when Malik says it, I just
I got it.
I can't comprehend numbers. When the Jets trade up for Cade Klubnik.
Oh, QB of the future, baby.
Jaden Kennedy. What a fucking banger pick, bro.
That's a good
They're
pick.
drafting a lot of my guys, dude. Damn.
Add to the
Damn.
quarterback room.
They took honestly, they might have taken my 2 favorite players in the class with Peter Woods and Jaden Kennedy. Oh, that is tough.
Yeah, that's good,
That
man.
is tough for me. But that's a really good pick. I'm still trying to process this trade
man.
a little bit.
So yeah, just looking at the chat real quick. Yeah, so Vic, the Jets went up and they took Cade Klubnik. So that's not bad. So you move back 18 spots and you go up and you get 128 and 140.
128 and 140. I like that.
Yep, that's a good trade.
Because we got off of 199, right? That's
Yep.
what it was. So
Yeah.
we moved back and then we moved up 50. I think that's pretty worth it there. It's
All still in the fourth, correct?
we traded back into the 4th and added a 5th instead of a 6th. So we moved up our 6th.
But that's an early 5th, I believe.
No.
Oh, it's the last pick of the 4th.
It's the last pick of
It's
the
a comp
fourth.
4th. It's a
yeah.
comp 4th.
Not bad.
It's a last comp 4th. Okay.
Yep, that's
So
good.
still no 5th. They heard us, going live for round 4, and they decided to spice it up for us a little bit.
Yeah, they said we're gonna give
They
you
said
2
you-
fourth round picks.
and we can cap it off with
Right.
the 4th round pick.
You
All
get
right,
2.
then.
You have 2 fourth
Fan
round
of the
picks,
show.
no 5ths, and a 6. Right.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. Cool.
No 5th, 1 6, 2 7s though.
All right now.
I like
All right.
that though.
Yep.
This is the kind of spice I was hoping for.
That was just enough, like for them not trading down earlier. That is just enough of a trade down to be like, sweet,
Yeah.
all right, like we didn't really lose a pick,
Right.
But we moved up a pick, got that extra 4th, which is
Yeah.
nice. And that's really good value.
So
Really good
basically, my guy Rusi said, I'm confused. So basically, the Bengals essentially traded their 6th and their 4th rounder essentially to get 2 fourths. One of the fourths that they received was a compensatory one, right?
Yep,
Because
yes.
they added on the compensatory picks that if you lose a player, essentially the league will kind of compensate
Mhm.
you with the draft pick. compensatory picks. I think they start in the third or fourth?
They start in the third.
They start in the third, right? So the Bengals basically have the last pick in the fourth round and a pick as well. They moved back 18 spots. They had the 128th pick in the fourth round and the 140th pick in the fourth round. So two fourth-round picks.
They moved back 18 and then jumped up 50-ish spots, which is a huge jump up for that.
Yes.
I mean, adding that is pretty valuable here. I mean, that's 2/4 in general. Like that's good value for what we were trying to do. It's just nice. Like I said, I think that's the last kind of trade down that you were looking at that makes sense for them. Like, I mean, obviously they drafted Takara Davis. I like it. Maybe you could have got some value by trading down, but I'm not going to sweat that at all. But this, you get 2/4 now. I mean, that's what everybody's been asking for. You get another earlier swing at the bat, which allows you not to have that wait too long. I mean, you still have to wait. Obviously, you pick at 140 and then you don't pick again until 199 or no 189. We traded 199. So that's not bad business at all there. No, not bad business at all. It opens up, maybe drafting another potential fringe starter caliber player here. I think that at this point, I don't know. I wonder what that opens up for them. Maybe it opens up a linebacker that falls to them and a lineman. Maybe they double dip. Maybe they take one of these tight ends. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick because you can bunch these two picks together. So instead of just having one and then waiting 80 picks, now you can say, all right, maybe we reach on a guy a little bit, but now we have pretty much almost back-to-back picks.
You can honestly go secondary again and go offensive line, or you can go double dip at offensive line. You could do a lot of fun things.
That'd be interesting.
All right, you could do a swing tackle and a center. A center and a swing tackle.
That'd be interesting.
I don't think the Bengals are going after a linebacker. I'll just say that right now, guys. I don't think so. I think that you're going to see a vet linebacker added to this team.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm still holding out some hope for Brian Parker. I know that I don't know that they're going to dip back into the corners, but if they do, I don't know how much inside out versatility they have, but they have talked about wanting length at the position a lot and really valuing that. Will Lee has the longest arms of any corner in the class. Again, similar-ish profile to Takario Davis, so maybe they don't want that as much. But again, when you talk about length and athleticism, like Al Golden did, Will Lee certainly comes to mind.
Yeah, just looking at it, and I see a lot of people asking wide receiver, running back. I mean,
I would say it got a little bit more possible there. Nothing absurdly, but I don't know if that's something they're going to dip into. Maybe one of them. Maybe I don't think it'll be running back either. I think it'll be receiver or tight end if they dip back into a skill position.
Yeah, to be honest with you, though, I do feel pretty confident it's going to be an offensive lineman at some point. With these two,
one of them
at least.
Because that's just a spot where, we talk about this at a nauseating pace, but these guys could still be quality guys.
If Keontae's staring at you there, are you doing it?
I would do it for sure. For sure.
Look, are you?
I would have no problem with it. Okay. I would prefer some corners if they're still there. Yeah. Like I'd prefer Abney if he was still there, and probably Kilgore.
What are your thoughts on people that say, "Hey, Keith Abney's good, right? But he also can be better as a tackler. He's not the strongest tackler." What are your thoughts on that?
I think he is. He's had good numbers in the tackling department. He's a willing tackler. He's just when you're a little bit smaller like that, I think you kind of get labeled with that. And, but I think he's proven to hold up well in that department. He's a guy that just gives you a little bit more inside out versatility that you trust to live in either of the areas. You got to see where he develops, but even Kilgore. Kilgore is a slot, but Keith Abney can kind of live in both inside or outside. Keontae Scott as a pure slot is probably better than Abney is as a pure slot, but it just kind of depends how they want to look at it. I like Keith Abney in general, really fluid guy, good mover, unique athletic background as well. Just a good player. At this point, these people are available for a reason, and that could easily be one of them. But just a solid player, man. A lot of really interesting, solid players here.
Well, while we got you guys all here, if you guys could do us a huge favor, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. We guys know we've been live all 3 days of the NFL draft, day 1, day 2. Well, I'm sorry, night 1, night 2, and now day 3. So we appreciate you guys for making us a part of your draft coverage, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed the coverage. You guys know we'll be live Monday, the entire crew, for a full draft recap, us breaking everything down, because we'll only be live for the 4th round. Albeit Bengals have the last pick in the 4th round, so it makes it fun for us.
Yeah.
And then, you'll see our faces back on here Monday evening as we break everything through. But give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications. We had an awesome interview with Barrett Carter, Bengals linebacker, where he was very open, very vulnerable. So please definitely check that out if you haven't done so on the channel. Also, shout out to our sponsor, Pastiza's Pizza, here in Cincinnati, Ohio area. Their description is all down in our bio. They do a great job. We appreciate them for supporting the show. I'm from New Jersey. It was important for me to try to find real New York style pizza. And I found them. It took me 4 years, but I found them. They just came to the area. So make sure you guys support them. But this has been awesome. This has been awesome. Last 3-day coverage. I've been having a lot of fun with this thing. What do you guys' thoughts?
No, man, this has been awesome. And I think this is, and you kind of said it best the other day or yesterday. You said, this is a culmination of everything. Like, this is it, man. This is the war rooms. This is our process from, watching these guys playing college football into the draft process, the Senior Bowl, going to the NFL Combine, talking to these guys. Like, this is a culmination of everything. And this is why we do it, because we have, the best fan base in the world, man. I think that just having you guys along with the journey, it makes this fun, just interacting with the comments. So very, very, very happy with the way this played out. This is just exciting, man. I love this.
I think for me, like the draft, NFL draft especially, but I love the draft process in all sports. I love the team building aspect. I love the scouting aspect of things. It's so much fun to dive into it and really analyze all the ways players can be successful. Players can fit on certain teams. Teams want to build their rosters. Like, there's so many fun elements to it that you can just discuss and you can debate and you can dive into. There's just so many different ways, so many discussion points, and that's just why I love it so much. It's something that's always been one of my favorite events in sports is the NFL draft, and being able to sit up here and talk about it and dive into it with everybody here has been awesome. It's been an awesome 3 days.
So real quick, and I know this isn't necessarily Bengals related, but Mr. Turbix is talking about, can you guys rate the NFC North draft so far in order? To be honest with you, I thought that this is the worst division drafting this year, to be honest with you. And I think part of it is because of the fact that some of the teams like the Packers didn't have a first round pick. But when you look at it, I don't think any of these teams smashed it out the window. I think that
Bears had a great first pick.
The Bears, I like Dylan Thieneman, but you look at who else they got. Logan Jones.
They hit a couple, like Logan Jones is in a semi position of need, maybe a little early. Sam Roosh, everybody loves their blocking tight ends nowadays, especially Ben Johnson. Whatever, you can make that work. But Xavier Thomas was absolutely horrible of a pick.
Yep.
And then in the most
and then
way
you
possible.
look at the Green Bay Packers, Brandon Cisse, and then Chris McClellan. That's it.
Yeah, Lions, Blake Miller and Derek. Blake Miller, good. You need that position. You wanted a right tackle. Maybe a smidge early for him, but I feel very confident with him as a right tackle. Going to be really solid. Derek Moore, I don't love again either. And the Vikings just took a couple massive swings.
But the Vikings, when you look at the trenches, they got Tiernan yesterday. Obviously, Big Citrus, Caleb Banks, Jake Galday, and Jacoby Thomas. I don't know. I think the Detroit Lions for me is probably the one that I'm very excited about.
Flying off the board.
Drew Shelton off the board.
Casey went before.
Okay.
So some linemen definitely flying off the board, but continue.
Yeah, no, so all around, I mean, just a weird division. I like Blake Miller going to the Lions. I think that's a surefire pick. The rest of these teams, it's whatever. I mean, Dylan Thieneman was nice, and then
it was. The Packers, like I like to say, and McLean's just a little bit early for him. The Vikings took a number of big swings, which you can just respect, especially with Brian Flores. I mean, we seem to talk about Brian Flores every year, just with how creative he is on defense and how he continues to get so much out of a relatively weak defensive roster, and now they're adding some massive athletic and some massive upside swings. Like that's a fun kind of pairing to do with Brian Flores, I think.
Yes, sir. So Tony Rose was talking about the interview with Barrett Carter. He said that this interview with Barrett Carter was awesome, Malik. It's nice to remember these guys are real people with real feelings, and it was great to hear your perspective. Really appreciate all the work you guys do. We appreciate it, man. And like I said, I thought that was one of the best interviews, to be honest with you. He was just an awesome guy, and that's our goal with that, right? Is you want to hear what these guys, not just, all right, what do we see on the football field, but tell us the story behind it. So we appreciate that you watched that.
We appreciate it. Yeah, man. This is what the sit down was about. When I first came up with the sit down idea, it was to give people a look behind, the mask, behind the jersey of who the players actually are. I've got big plans for the sit down, right? Sitting down with Bengal players, but also sitting down with players around the league, but also other sports as well. We've got some big news coming on the horizon. I look forward to sharing with you guys in the future. It's been a lot of hard work put in, but again, it doesn't start without you guys. So we appreciate you guys for tuning in, giving us the platform to discuss these players, break them all down, and being able to get a real inside look in who they are. So we appreciate it.
Yes, sir. So we have a member in the chat, Rob, or he was talking about the trade back. Somebody was asking, I just got here. This was Justin. I just got here. Do we trade back? Yep. The Bengals traded back, and they got 2 picks in the 4th round for it.
It moved back 18 spots and then moved up about 50
Logan, this
spots.
made it worth it, man. You came here, you're like, damn, we're gonna pick real quick.
Yeah,
And it's
I was
like,
shit.
nope. We
It's
got
good, though.
we gonna trade back
I know.
18 picks, and then we got the last pick of the 4th round. So
It's- yeah.
we ended with a banger.
We
We ended with a banger.
We did.
So I guess while we got you guys all here, we got 400 plus people watching us live. We do so much more, right? So we do State of the Jungle every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We do live videos, I would say a couple times a week, where we break down things discussing Bengals, obviously being ratcheted up a lot more lately, obviously with the NFL draft and all this other stuff for agency. But even beyond that, check out our website, twsn.net. These guys do great work, write a lot of great content. You can find Logan's player scouts there. They do a fantastic job. Really, really do. We give out betting plays. We do so much more here at TWSN other than just doing shows. So we appreciate you guys for supporting though.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we had somebody who was asking, about Cash Howell. This was Malik Gary. He said, hot take, Cash Howell will break the rookie sack record. Wow.
He's a beast.
It's
What is it?
for the Bengals. I know it was Dunlap.
What was it, 10?
I think I just searched
8?
it up. Carlos Dunlap 9.5.
9.5, yeah.
For the Bengals.
If he's a double-digit sack player in year one, he's probably in the conversation for defensive rookie of the year.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no doubt about it.
Yeah.
That's just how that would be. I'd be surprised if he got that high. I think with Cassius Howe, I don't know. I'm still interested to see how the playing time unfolds year one. We talked about the role, but I think his impact per snap is going to be felt. I think that's how he's going to be his whole career. I don't think he's going to be a big snap guy, but I think when he's on the field, you can expect him to be around the football and making plays, which is exactly what the Bengals needed.
And for me, when I look at him, this is a player where you just see where he lands year one, because obviously there's all these comps being thrown around about, the Von Millers of the world. Like, if this guy can come in day one and be
Another
dominant
offensive lineman here,
who was it?
Jalen Farmer
Okay.
from Kentucky, from the Tuck.
The Tuck, man. The
The
Colt.
Tuck. Keep that going. Hold on.
Hey, man.
And Farmer from Kentucky.
That's the dog right
That's
there,
a-
man.
yeah.
Oh.
The tale as old as time.
So,
Stupid. I just got what you said. It took me a second to register. Who do we want the Bengals to nab here? Though?
why'd you say it like that?
There's
Want,
obviously
who
who
they
you-
want.
Who you think, huh?
You said it. You said it like Kentucky. Who do you want the Bengals to
Who do you
grab?
want the Bengals to draft here in this spot?
I'm still on Brian Parker. That's still who I want. I think they're going to target offensive lineman with one of these picks. He's still comfortably the best one here for me. That's who I would be wanting and hoping the Bengals draft.
Damn, the Bucks just took Keontae Scott.
Wow, bro.
Ruben Bain and Keontae Scott.
Bro, they are killing it. Josiah
Yeah.
Trotter
Bucks haven't
and
drafted.
Ted Hurst.
Ravens
Wait,
took,
you said the
Ravens
Buccaneers
took
did?
Elijah Surratt.
Who
did?
Ravens.
Surratt, and Jacoby Lane.
That's
Damn.
an interesting one.
Cowboys take Devin Moore.
Devin Moore.
Cornerback.
I honestly didn't really like him, to be honest with you. That is fine.
Interesting. I don't know. Surratt is just not a Raven to me. That doesn't feel right.
They're always having troubles with their wide
They don't have a
receivers.
vision at receiver. Let's just
No,
call it what it
they
is.
don't.
I
They
got
don't-
the Jacoby Lane one because he's more of a downfield vertical stretching, just big play guy. But we talked about it yesterday with Surratt, and even Evan was talking about how he could be more productive in an NFL style offense because it's timing based, it's rhythm based. Those are things that Lamar Jackson does not excel in.
Nope.
You know what I mean? So it's like that. It's an interesting fit. It's no secret. I'm not a big Surratt guy. Me and Daniel wrote an article about it, giving some of our favorite and least favorite players are buying and selling guys. And Surratt was a huge sell for me. And to be honest, I absolutely hate the fit in Baltimore. I don't see it. I don't see the fit in Baltimore. I don't see the fit with Lamar. It just doesn't make much sense. Maybe he can be. I kind of would compare him to maybe he could have a Juwan Jennings kind of career arc where you don't really hear from him early. He kind of figures out his niche and his role in the NFL and then has some success, but I don't love that for Baltimore there.
Evan McPhillips in the chat. He said Logan Fulmer is a hater. Surratt is goated. Oh, Evan, brother. Listen, man, and at the end of the day, too, when you look at that, the Ravens are just weird. You don't know if that guy is going to come out and be a starter, and if he is, you don't know if he's getting more than 4 or 5 targets a game. So the Ravens are just weird for wide receivers, and you kind of feel for them at some point, just because it's not a wide receiver friendly offense.
No.
Evan, looked like you were fighting for your life this morning on social media. They were coming at you over that the Jalen Davis take.
Oh my! That was, I didn't even see it on social media, but I thought man. Yesterday's show, I love the show, man. I love the draft. This is entertaining, man. We had a question from.
Now it feels like we don't pick for forever.
Yeah,
I mean, we
man.
still got one.
Well,
two,
We're in sight. We're in sight.
There you go, on site. That's the word. That's
12, 13-ish. Okay. We're close enough. Close enough.
So we have a non-Bengals question or non-draft question from CJD2K. He said, "Are you guys going on hiatus after Wednesday's show? Are you guys gonna go live for the schedule release in May or not? When does it even the schedule release happen?
They say May, didn't they say May?
Yeah, but when in May?
Oh.
No. But no, we're still gonna be doing content, of course. But just looking at some of the best players on the board, we talked about the offensive lineman. You obviously brought up Brian Parker, and I think that's definitely.
I like Connor Lou too. I haven't really talked about him a lot, but I do like Connor Lou as well.
Yeah,
he's just a center though. I mean, obviously any center can play guard, but Parker has that tackle-ish upside as well.
Even when you just look at these centers, this is, in the war room we were talking about it, but Sam Hetch and then Pat Coogan, obviously, but you got Burton from Kentucky. These are quality guys that I do think that can step in at some point within the first year and be starting caliber centers. So
yeah, there's still some options, thankfully. We kind of talk about some of the weird picks at tight end, but we never really, obviously, offensive line is a tough position to analyze, but we talked about it a little bit. Offensive line is a very scheme and coach dependent. Some coaches prefer good hand usage. Some coaches prefer good footwork. Some coaches prefer length. Some coaches prefer hand technique and hand fighting, guys that do all that stuff. All these players are going to have different strengths and weaknesses. Obviously the NFL draft is all about opinions and preferences, but I think especially when it comes to the offensive line I think that's where it's the largest. You want guys that are going to fit your scheme and do what you want to do and win the way you want to win. To where if you're a receiver and some of these things, wow, that stuff still matters. Any team will take a good receiver. There's so many ways to get them involved, but you teach offensive line so specifically, especially in the NFL. You want guys that match perfectly with what you want to do. So I think that's why the order and everything is so different year in and year out, and it's kind of hard to really push back on anything about it, because if somebody views as a prospect as a perfect match in their system, it's kind of hard to really push back on it, even if there are better players, but maybe they just like the specific fit with the team better. It's a hard position to evaluate and really give a lot of stock into on draft night.
Yes, sir. So a couple rapid fire ones. JP27 Houday said, is Brailsford still there? Yep, he is still here. Tom Burton said, boys, what are the odds of a 4th round pick being a starter? From day one, not very likely, because you don't have many needs necessarily of
Unless
day
it's a
one
slot.
starter.
They could potentially work in
as a slot, but
that's
that's probably it. But that's at the end of the day, you're not drafting this guy to be a day one starter. You're hoping that this guy is good enough. If an injury happens, he can step in there and potentially take that role.
Yeah.
So
I guess maybe you would just to throw out some other possible. I don't think these will happen, because I think the veterans in front of them have proven more. Maybe you draft a guard that tears up camp again, and they again put him ahead of Reisner for whatever reason. I don't think that would happen, but maybe that's possible. And then again, maybe if they draft a tight end, there's a world where the tight end is more of a every down. I don't think he'd be the starter, because that's not how they do things. But if they were to draft the tight end in this range, it wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world to see them maybe play I don't want to say the most snaps at the position, but to play, a bigger role than some people would expect.
Chargers traded up for this next pick.
What are you doing, LA? Who do you want?
Could go wide receiver.
And some of these receivers are just so interesting.
We have some comments about the wide receivers. Rob Dillon, one of our members, he said Jeff Caldwell. I don't think he's being talked about enough. And then Houday said, you guys like Skylar Bell or Deion Burks?
We haven't talked about Deion Burks a lot, but me and Daniel are pretty large fans of Deion Burks. I like the twitchiness. I like the fit in Cincinnati so much better than a lot of these receivers. Obviously, Skylar Bell is presents more inside out versatility. He can live on the outside a little bit more. But Burks is more of a pure slot, but he's a vertical field stretching slot that can make plays in the yak department as well. He would be one of my favorite fits in this Bengals offense for sure.
Yeah, and there's just these guys, and once again we talk about this, but I don't think the receiver spot. I think you can find a way to fit a guy in.
I mean, we drafted Yoshi in the 6th round, and
Yep.
he played, and he still plays.
Yep. And some of these guys, like we talked about, Cyrus Allen from Cincinnati.
That's a really fun fit too.
He's just a pristine route runner. There's these guys. I mean, one of my favorite guys, J. Michael Sturdivant. I don't necessarily know if he's a Bengals pick, but these wide receivers have the traits to do it. And Jeff Caldwell, obviously being the size that he is, his 50-50 ball ability. And I don't necessarily know if I would take him with my first 4th round pick, but these wide receivers, Bryce Lance, Skylar Bell, these guys, and especially at the receiver
really
spot, like, bro, these guys can develop into a starter from, relatively easily. It's a position that's not like, a cornerback, or it's not like, edge rusher, for example. If you get them in day 3, they're probably not starting. They're not good enough. Like, a lot of these guys are 1,000-yard receivers. They've done it at a high level at the collegiate, spot. So definitely some great wide receivers on the board. Stephen Lee said Keontae Scott to the Bucks. Yes, sir. Scott is 25 years old. That is also true.
Again, we've talked about this position a lot, not very positively here, but I really like Justin Jolly, I think, too, or some of these other tight ends. I really like a number of them, man. I do. I don't know if it's a 4th round. I mean, if you want Jolly, it's probably the time to do that. But again, he's more of not a direct comp, but a Harold Fannin-esque player, a move guy that can do a number of different things. Not the best stereotypical inline tight end, which might not be why the Bengals like him. But this is, I mean, we've talked about it. This tight end class is deep, and I really do hope they take a swing there. I don't know if it'll be here, but Travis Burke, tackle to the Chargers here.
Yeah. Oh wow. That's a phenomenal backup for Joe Alt.
That's one of the first ones where you're like, damn, okay. That's somebody you probably wanted. I think that's really one of the first picks here that you're like, shit. I think that really would have been in conversation for the Bengals.
Yeah, man. So we got some people talking about Skylar Bell. Obviously, our guy Evans in the chat, he said Skylar Bell 3.3 or 3.13 yards per route run last season. Then we had somebody else said, can Skylar Bell play in the slot? Yeah, he played about 35% of his snaps over the past 2 years in the slot. He can do it. Yeah, so he's not a guy that is strictly a slot or strictly a boundary. His size and his speed, he showed. And when you just turn on the tape, if you're looking for wide receivers that flash, right? We talked about Jacoby Lane yesterday, thousands and thousands, or not thousands, but at least 10 one-handed catches. If you look at his highlight reel, same thing for Skylar Bell. Skylar Bell's got some phenomenal grabs. Once again, not against great competition, but it's the player is something I'm a fan of. It's kind of similar last year to a guy I loved, not the same type of player, but Jalen Royals, I was a massive fan of last year. Smaller school, but Skylar Bell, I do think is going to be a guy that is a steal. Real quick, Secrets His says, do you think Diego Pavia gets drafted this year?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I mean, not like this sounds bad. I don't even know how much I want to say, but like we saw Shedeur slide last year for being a much better person than Diego Pavia was. Like Diego Pavia and the things that come with him aren't very exciting. Like and Shedeur fell so far, and I can't imagine teams would want a worse quarterback than him with more of a headache than him.
I'm being honest with you guys. If the Bengals come back around and the pick is still here, man, I'm really considering Sam Hetch here, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I feel like I know people understand, like Pat Coogan, I understand the hype, but I feel like the more refined player ready to play right now is probably Sam Hetch, honestly, if you needed him to. You hear
I believe he's younger too.
And he's younger. Yeah, Pat Coogan's one of those old school blockers. Again, he does everything well, but there's concerns to see if he will be, a starter in the NFL. Well, he could probably possibly develop. He could possibly develop into a solid starter, right? But I feel like Sam Hetch is a guy that when we were talking about earlier on, this was a guy that was getting real second round hype. Mm-hmm. I feel like Sam Hetch makes the most sense, just me.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think there's a number of centers that I'm just And maybe that's why they traded down. Maybe they did kind of view the center as the next position they wanted to grab, and whether that'd be Hitch, whether that'd be Lou, whether that'd be Parker, whether that'd be Coogan. That's 4. And you tell me 4 centers are going to go in the next 10 picks, I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
So if that's something they did identify, that'd be sweet, and I would be happy with any one of them. I mean, Heck was a guy that we liked pretty early on, and I'd be all for it. Would the Jags trade up here too? It says okay, or did they just trade down? No, they traded up, I guess. What weird. What are they doing, bro? The Jags have had such a weird draft, bro. They ended it well, didn't they? Didn't they draft somebody that were like, okay, fine.
Yeah, that was Pregnon.
Yep.
Yeah, but Malik, I thought your point was great, and it's the same thing. These guys, like you look at Sam Hatch, like
and Jalen Husky as well. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, like these guys have played a ton of snaps. Sam Hatch played at least 1,600 snaps in his collegiate career, and that's what you hope for. You just look for experience, especially at the center position. You're not looking for traits. You don't want a 6'6" guy, and that's why you see even the Bengals, like you like a smaller guy, and you want a guy that has played the position before. So
and never
Jags
forget, you need you need. Wait, guys, listen. You need the depth on the interior of the offensive line, but you do not have a backup center. You don't have that right now.
No.
If Ted Karras has to miss a game or whatever the case may be, gets hurt or whatever, you don't have a backup center on the roster.
Yep.
No,
right?
Not at all.
This is a spot. I feel like this is starting to get to the sweet spot. But I also would love Brian Parker because I think Brian Parker could play center. I think Brian Parker could play offensive guard. I think he do a lot. Listen, I feel like interior offensive line. I feel like this is the sweet spot we have to go here. That's where
I agree completely, man. I could not agree more. The Jaguars just drafted a consensus 320 ranked player, by the way. Again, I don't know what the hell they're doing in the most respectful way possible. I don't get it. I just don't get it, bro.
Yeah, I really don't know what the hell they're doing, but I think that looking at the Bengals, man, this is a position where you've got 2 picks within the 20 spots. You really can leave here with 2 quality guys, and I think that going the offense is definitely a good shout. I think that there's a spot where, honestly, I would like to go with the skill position, probably with the second, 4th rounder. And we'll talk about it, but I think you probably make the priority, going offensive line here. And you can look back, at the Bengals history. It just had it, they like this spot, for going offensive lineman. It probably hasn't worked out all the best, but, they went out, they got Deontay Smith, they got Cordell Volson. These were guys that they drafted in, round 4. They went and got Michael Jordan in round 4. Like, this is kind of the spot where they have done it, historically. And you just look at the way that the board is falling. You look at how your draft has gone. First off, 2 defensive guys. You don't have a major need that you're clamoring for right now. You got to build the offensive line, and especially the depth. And with the way that the board is shaping up with at least 4 to 5 guys that we can all envision being high-quality backups and can slot in if needed right away, this is one of the best positions on the board. So I like Brian Parker. I like these guys that we're talking about.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're up in 9 picks. I mean, some of these teams have drafted offensive linemen already, but the Steelers could use one. The Packers could use one. The Texans could definitely use one. The Bills, we've talked about a number of times. The 49ers, again, that doesn't mean they're definitely going to go O-line here, but it could easily be a little bit of a run here, as we've seen Burke go. We've seen Farmer, Shelton, Casey all go so far in these last handful of picks. So it wouldn't surprise me if we kind of see that run on offensive line. But even if the offensive line does happen, like I just said, they're not 4 centers aren't going to be drafted in the next 5 picks. And then if you do,
Packers take Dennis Sutton.
Good pick for them. I was literally about to answer the question. We had
the most Packer pick, they say.
That's a good one.
That is a Packer pick.
That's a good one, though, with Cisse and McLean. Now it's Danny Dennis Sutton. That's great value for him, though. Daniel, talk about your guy.
Yeah, Hugh said, bro, what's up with Denai Dennis Sutton? For me, this was a pick where, like I said, last year he was a projected 2nd-round pick. He came back, and he didn't really flash this year. He was very productive, extremely productive. He had 10 sacks back-to-back years, but the athletic testing, and I agree, it doesn't match with the film, right? He tested like a freak, and, his RAS score was through the roof, but when you watch, his film, he doesn't have the fluidity to, run the arc and circle back and sack the quarterback. So I think that the media, and, this was myself included, it was higher on him than the NFL was. But at the end of the day, respectfully, this guy just produced back-to-back
Pitt-
years at the Big Ten.
Pitt took wide receiver from Iowa, not Kyle.
What?
Lewis.
What, Jen?
Wedgen, yeah.
Oh, that's a good.
My God, it's my dog, bro. But with Wedgen, he's bro. It's a old Steelers returner, Ryan Schweitzer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Reincarnated returner of the year last year in college football. That's about it. Like, he's a slot guy. He's a receiver from Iowa that they don't throw the ball. You know what I mean? But he's an elite returner. That's what he is. And the Steelers want to value that in the 4th round. Cool, good for them. But a really fun returner. It's literally Ryan Schweitzer from a few years ago, or I guess more than a few years ago at this point. But that's what he is. I mean, he's an elite special team player.
Well, they also have Ben Skoranek, who's similar mold, came out
Because
as
he's white?
No, not because he's white, because he was a good punt returner. But yes, partially.
Yeah, like, it's just, I mean, whatever. I don't care. Like, I think that's a fun player.
That's
a
funny.
fun player, but like, I just. I
Well,
don't
they
know.
also had Jeremy Bernard. We
The
didn't really talk about
Raiders.
that.
The
That was
Raiders.
fun.
Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they trade up
Ooh.
Yeah.
with who? 122. So with Atlanta.
Yep.
Okay.
So
But like, they have Genty and they took that's a good backup.
that's
but-
Clint Kubiak gets his little duo for Ashton Genty. I believe they probably went out and they signed somebody for agency as well.
a
But
running back. Did they?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know who it was, but it was Caden Wedgen is a hilarious selection here. Again, like, you can kind of tell how some teams value certain things, and I mean, this is a special teamer, like I said, but this is a really good special teamer. And with kind of how the return game is evolving a little bit, like, like, how much do you really want to value that? I can't fault somebody for valuing it pretty high, but being in the 4th round's a little high. We got two-time Jet Award winner. That's the nation's top returner. What a sick Jet returner,
Yeah,
wet
sick.
Jen. That's pretty cool for him. But again, I mean, he's a returner. Maybe you throw up some screens, let him be that gadget guy for Pittsburgh. But I mean,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
It's a valuable thing, but it's not that valuable at the end of the day. It's cool to have the best returner in the NFL if that's what he actually ends up being, but it's like half the time, 85, 95% of the time, it's really not going to matter.
Yep.
But the time that does matter, you're going to be like, holy crap, thank God we have him. Whatever.
Yeah. So just looking at the Raiders pick, Malik, you said it was Mike Washington, so they
Yep.
didn't sign anybody in free agency. And we
Okay.
know Clint Kubiak, what they like to do, they love to stagger their running backs. And we saw that last year, right, with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. This is a spot where in round 4, you see guys that are kind of shocking, to be honest with you guys. Like, this is, and I know fantasy football is not everything, but if you're talking about handcuff running backs, this is one right here because, you got Ashton Genty, but I think that Washington from day one, he's a guy that we saw really rise at the combine. We were sitting there watching, when he ran his 40 time and kind of shocked everybody, got the call from his agent. And
Wade Woodass, the Texans.
Wade
Clemson.
Woodass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Woodass.
well,
That's a
name, man.
linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that interesting. I don't know. That's not a very Texans-y pick, I feel like I was expecting from them. I mean, I know we don't necessarily think the Bengals will go linebacker. But I mean, there is some, like, the value for these guys is much better than some of the value we were projecting at the beginning of, the cycle in general. Obviously, Evans, Guy, Caleb Williams, or still here, Harold Perkins, Kyle Lewis, Bryce Buchetter from Oregon. I like Jack Kelly a ton. You got the unicorn Eric Gentry.
That's my dog, man.
They talk about listening to, like I just said, Al Golden talking about length and being outliers at the position. Maybe that's something. I mean, Wade, not that it matters, but Wade Woodass is currently ESPN's 17th ranked best available linebacker.
Yeah, that's, I don't know.
Best value there, but
They have who?
they have Wade Woodass as their 17th best available linebacker.
Oh, wow.
To each their own, though. To each
Yeah.
their own, I guess. Whatever. I mean,
Somebody asked if we were to grade our draft, what we grade it right now. I said it'd be. Say it'll be.
yeah, I think I would lean. I'm a little bit higher on it in general. I'd probably B plus. Like just throw it a little bit more because the upside is there. I think that not even the downside, but the floor of these guys just is so much higher to me because they have a role.
Yep.
Even if Decario Davis does not stick as an outside corner, he is going to live in the league for a long time covering tight ends. And Cassius Howe, while he's going to be, again, I talked about it a little bit today. Even he's not going to be a heavy down a heavy snap count player, but his impact per snap is always going to be pretty high. He can always come in and just be a rotational pass rusher and probably be a pretty good one at that.
Yeah, man. And just looking at the Bengals draft, and we talk about this. Maybe it's a little bit of copium, but man, any draft talk for a grade has to include Dexter Lawrence for me. I'm sorry, like round 1, like you traded that pick because think about it right now. In a nutshell, the 2 picks, I agree. I think it's probably like a B. You know, I like these picks weren't terrible picks, and these guys can immediately come in and have a role on this Bengals team, and you can foresee them having a high quality role. But think about how different it would be if the Bengals didn't trade for Lawrence, and we're talking about a Bain or we're talking about a Downs. There's so many different nuances to this, but the fact that you got Dexter Lawrence, I think, makes this a much easier draft to project because Howell slots in and you're not forcing him to do something. Same thing with Takari Davis. You're not forcing him to do something. So I would say a solid B right now.
Yeah.
We have, a couple questions. P. Jackson, where did Jake Galladay go? He went to the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
Minnesota Vikings got him in round 2, round 3.
Yeah, it was round 2. I think it was their second, I believe.
Swiss said, I thought somebody said Kilgore was gone. I don't believe Jalen Kilgore went. Nope.
No, he has not gone yet.
Still on the board.
He's not gone yet.
So
interesting.
we're
creeping up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Got the Bills twice. Bears, Bills, 49ers.
So 6 picks. 6 picks into the Bengals. I don't know. Am I rewriting my poster? Or am I keeping the same?
The guy I wrote down is still there. The guy I thought the Bengals would draft is gone. So
King Ale said, "Would you guys take Bryce Lance?"
I would hate it.
Yeah,
I would hate it. I mean,
it's fine.
I would go if we're gonna go in a skill. I would go with the 2nd, 4th. I don't want to lose out on what I would say is a quality offensive lineman.
Yeah, and I like Bryce Lance. I just also don't know where I would necessarily have him over Skylar Bell, over some of these other guys. I would probably take them just because Bryce Lance is that bigger, wide receiver, very productive. But I don't necessarily know if I would make him a focal point right here. KP from KC said, "Where did Bud Clark go?" He went to the Seattle Seahawks in round 2 with the final pick in round 2.
Yeah.
Jay North said, like Washington in Las Vegas in the Charbonnet role. Exactly. And this is where like round 4, round 5, maybe that this class isn't the greatest, but running backs, you get guys that produce right away. Kyle Manun guy, there's multiple guys, especially for people that are just looking for backups, multiple guys that you can get in round 4, round 5, maybe not in this year's class, but still, I like some of these guys. We talked about Adam Randall, Eli Heidenreich. There's a couple guys that I would like for the Bengals specifically.
I mean, that's why the running backs always, people say never draft one early because there's so many late round guys. I mean, look at Chase Brown for us.
Yep.
Like there's so many late round running backs that can come in and make an impact and just carve out a role. We've talked about it all the time. The running back position, it's just so dependent on so many other things that, not that you shouldn't value it, but that's why it is valued lower than some teams, and just really by everybody across the league. It's still nice to have good ones and everything, but it's a position you really bet on traits and kind of hope everything else around them works perfectly, so then that running back can kind of shine a bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm kind of curious, where did AJ Halsey go?
He went to Lou in Indy.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
In the 3rd.
That's right.
A 3rd rounder.
Yeah, we had a comment about AJ Halsey. Yeah, he went
3rd round.
He went 3rd round.
What else did the Colts do? Colts are
kind of weird.
The Cardinals. I was like, they're not Joe Joe. They took CJ Allen, Halsey, Farmer. I mean, like, that's a Lou Anarumo.
CJ Allen kind of seems like a Lou Anarumo.
And so does Halsey. I mean, those are old school kind of players, but I mean, they can work still.
Yeah. Isaiah World is from Hull. He said Isaiah World is 6'8". Yeah, Isaiah World was another guy that we've talked about. Travis Burke, obviously he went
to the Chargers,
and I thought Chargers. That's a great pick for them. We have Blake Meek. He says slot wide receiver is the biggest need left, in my opinion. Yeah.
I mean, if you considered a slot corner solved, I guess.
Yeah. I would probably say slot corner, and it depends on the definition of need. Are we talking like day one? Or are we talking what we would like? Because you don't need a slot wide receiver.
No, I mean,
but
Yoshi's going to play. Mike Gesicki's going to play. there. That's what they always do. Yoshi does not necessarily Yoshi can play inside, but he'll play and move guys around. And I would still like one.
Yes.
I still think tight ends. The tight end room isn't great.
And that was the part that sucked, honestly, about this year's tight end class. And I was listening to Jaguars GM James Gladstone just to hear what the guy was saying. What was his reasoning for taking the Texas A&M early or tight end so early, and he said it's because they felt like the run on tight ends was going to go. To be honest, they went. They went, and that's why. I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm kind of good. Like maybe they take one here. I'm personally kind of good just because
I like Jolly and some of these guys.
I like them. Yeah.
They're not super major needle movers, and the guys that are left don't have massive roles year one. I'd say I like them. I like Jolly. I like Nowakowski from Indiana. Even Trigg has some upside, but there's a lot of concerns with the character there and everything. I mean, there's Joe Royer as well. Like there's a ton of okay options. Nothing you're feel great about, and but the tight end room isn't great, in general. So I'd like to add one, but there's also just a lot of bodies in that room as well.
Yep. And then we had some people were asking about the linebacking room. Like it depends. And one of the things also to note, there's a reason why.
Ooh, good pick for the Bears here.
Malik Muhammad.
Really good pick there for the Bears.
Wow.
It's good value for them. It's really good value for him. For something I liked Jaden Kennedy so much was because he allowed the fewest yards per target last year and fewest yards per coverage snap. Malik Muhammad was second in both of those. A little bit more inside out versatility than Kennedy presents. But for a team that, has an interesting secondary, some guys that overperformed or really turnover dependent last year. I think he provides some stability in that room and the quality player that has never had the biggest turnover share in the world. So just provides a much higher floor in that corner.
Why do you think he fell this far?
I think it's for whatever reason. A lot of these corners are falling. He's a little bit slimmer of a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, not the best tackler in the world either, but a really good cover guy, But
Kind of has that Emmanuel Forbes kind
of
build.
Yeah. Right? I honestly, that's a good shot. I think a lot of these guys. I think Keep Avney is a similar-ish, thought to that as well. Just these slimmer guys in today's, these slimmer, smaller corners in today's NFL kind of seem to be devalued a little bit, and I can't blame them per se.
Yeah. They're saying Bills take Skylar Bell.
That's fun.
That's a good pick.
That's fun.
That's a good pick, man. So who else wow. Yeah. And so they obviously got back-to-back picks here. That's a good pick for them. I mean,
we're coming up on us, gentlemen.
Yeah. I feel like the Bengals got to go offensive line here, guys.
Yeah. I'm not looking at nothing. Like you can tell us when it comes through. We're still a little early for that, but Skylar Bell. There it is. Good for them. That's a pick.
Bro,
it's a good fit.
Like,
that's a great, not to cut you out, Daniel. That's a phenomenal player to learn behind DJ Moore. I think that is a great kind of 100%. Comparison for them.
100%.
Like, yeah, I think that's a really good player for him to sit and learn behind for a few years. It's awesome.
He is. When you just talk about wide receivers too, we talked about it in round 2. What's the cost of round 2 versus here? Like, I would much rather prefer this than going out and reaching for a guy in round 2 because, like you said, DJ Moore, he can also learn from Khalil Shakir. Like, this is a spot where Josh Allen has always liked these guys that are just dependable. And while, a lot of people talk about him in that 10 to 15 yard range as a wide receiver, I also like what he can do in that 0 to 5 yards. He's got the twitchiness to win on these quick slants on third down. That's something you always see with this Josh Allen, Joe Brady led offense. So Skylar Bell, very impressed.
Again, I wish you would have just announced the next pick too. You guys got back-to-back picks. If you're picking them, let's just do it together. Speed it up. But again, that's for waiting. We kind of talked about the Bills drafting receivers for a while now, and to continue to wait and have that value really fall to you is what good teams do typically. I'm trying to remember the rest of their draft. T.J. Parker, Igbenogsoon, Jude Browery, Skylar Bell.
Can we just be honest? The Bills have had a very Bills draft.
Yeah.
I hated it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But
I like the Skylar Bell pick.
This is a great pick, I think.
I like the Skylar Bell pick, but it's been such a very Bills draft.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, it really has. They are picking pretty quickly after.
So this is about me.
Yeah, so I wonder if it's the same guy. You think they let the guy do it twice? Hey, we're back to back here, buddy. Just let him rip.
Oh, he's got a little belt on his shoulder.
Yeah, probably their fan of the year or something. If I had to guess, that's usually kind of how they do it with one of these picks or something.
Let's see. So the Bengals are up in 2 picks.
Yeah, they're gonna be on deck here after this Bills selection's made.
And once again, everybody drop down your predictions. Let's see if somebody can get it right. Drop them down in the comments.
And
but then
the
stop
crazy
looking
part
at it.
I'll say too is like when it comes to like a center prospect, right? Either a Sam Hetch or even a Connor Lou, who I
Oh,
believe is still on
Caleb
the board.
Elam's or Evan is having a fit about the Bills drafting both of them.
Oh, he got Elam's or?
Yeah, Elam's or and
Nice.
Skylar Bell.
Starting
But I feel like you can get arguably 3 guys that were all kind of swapped around as the top center in the draft.
Yeah.
Right. And this spot. And I feel like it just makes so much sense. Right. You got another pick coming up here in a few. I feel like I don't know. I feel like you should take that shot here. I feel like Sam Hetch makes the most sense.
Yeah, man. I think offensive line. I agree. I wonder if they're going to shock everybody. Take some.
They've shocked a lot of us in regards of style of player that they were going to take. I don't think the positions were massively shocking. I was a little bit surprised they took edge early, but when you look at it, like we identified it as a need. It's just not something we thought they would do.
Mm-hmm.
But so we've hit the position so far. I'm interested to see if they continue to kind of just shock us with the specific player we want. But again, I think one of these next 2 picks has to be offensive line. I would be really, really shocked. I don't want to say concerned if it's not, but I would be kind of surprised if one of these next 2 was not on the line.
Yeah, man.
And 49ers pick before us again. They could use some linemen too, but like we just said, there's so many centers.
Yeah.
I think that's where I would target here. But we'll.
And the 49ers pick is in, they say. All right.
Yeah. Okay, and then we're up 128.
And hey, we're still in reach
double
distance
on the
right
board.
there.
We're on the
Yeah.
board 2 times. That's cool.
Some of these fans are bugging. It's hilarious.
I think it's so funny. I saw somebody tweet about how like people are at the draft know more about the draft than they're announcing, because obviously the picks get leaked and everything. But that's kind of crazy to me. But yeah, whatever. That's how it is nowadays. But it's also like it's round 4. If you care about that now, that's your fault. You know, like
I'm excited for this, man.
And I'm interested to see what the 49ers do before us here. I mean, they've had an interesting draft. Oh, coming up, pick live. Oh,
jeez.
So we're gonna have to wait for a commercial and do other things, which means it probably will be out on some social media or something before we see it. But
yeah,
I'm still leaning line. I think if I had to put money on it, I would go line here.
Yeah, man. I'm just really happy that they got the trade back. To be honest with you, the trade back, now you get two picks, and to be honest, what's the difference in 128 versus where they were at 110? Like,
not much.
The guys that got picked,
you're not really worried about. I mean, maybe you would just Beller or
Carver Willis
to the 49ers.
For the 49ers, yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting one.
All right, so Bengals on the clock.
Carver Willis. That felt like a Bengals pick too, potentially. Just a weird offensive lineman there with some flexibility. Okay, Cincinnati, you are on the clock.
Post it, brother. Please, I'm trying to get one of these right, man. It ain't gonna happen. Huh?
Who you got?
Who I got? You want me to say it?
Yeah, I want you to say it. Who do you think?
Well, this was from before.
Mm-hmm.
I said Jeremiah Wright, guard from Auburn.
Okay.
I said Brian Parker.
Okay.
But my guy throughout the process, I think, especially after Zune went. Brian Parker is who I would take here.
Who you got?
I'm nervous.
I didn't have anybody.
He's gonna tell us who it is, Daniel. Relax, breathe.
Just breathe, man.
No,
just breathe. But
it's gonna be something weird.
I think so. Honestly, I think so.
That's how the draft's been. We've been
So
weird.
too.
I haven't drafted bad players by any means, but we've drafted some interesting ones, to say the least.
It was nice though to hear Al Golden and them talk about, that Cash Howe was the guy that they just had ranked super highly on the board. And that's
Just
one thing
so
I like. Like, hey, just stick to your board. If you think a guy is a first round prospect, stick to it and go out and draft them. I'm just trying to think of who that would be right now. Well, honestly, I don't even have to think. We'll see. We got 2 minutes.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. If I'm gonna take a guess at a weird one, let's see. It has to be a lineman, I think, somewhere. I mean, they could be the team that drafts a weird blocking tight end in some regard. Cronover wouldn't shock me. A little bit of tackle, a bigger tackle, 6'7" tackle. World kind of feels like a Bengals pick to a degree as well. Even Billy Schroth from Notre Dame kind of feels like a Bengal. I feel like they kind of value Notre Dame people as well. But I don't know. I like these centers, man. I'm really hoping it's one of these centers.
Low-key Pat Coogan, bro. I agree with that.
Pat Coogan over Sam Hetch is crazy.
Who else is on the board?
Brett Center, Parker, Lou, Brailsford.
Brailsford, I'm good off of that. Parker, Lou's interesting.
Yeah. Glubin, or Globin, whatever you say.
The Bengals
Oh, Lord.
have taken a center,
No shot.
Connor Lou.
Okay.
sweet.
All
That's a
right.
good one.
That's
Connor
good.
Lou.
That's good. That's
Let's
good.
go. They get
Yeah.
their center of the future.
That's a big one. I
Yeah.
like that a lot. I got the
Okay, school right.
I'm a little surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that pick.
We got the position right a little bit.
I
You know.
love that pick.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the need for a center of the future a lot. We've talked
Mm-hmm.
about it every single war room. I think. I mean, he's 20 years old, really solid all around. One of the younger interior offensive linemen in this class. Can hang in the run and the pass blocking game. Just a really solid center, and especially when you consider his age. That's something you want to prioritize. He can come in and sit for a year behind Ted, and then he would kind of projecting as your everyday center here in a few years, and just really good, man. He is a guy that had a lot of hype coming into the year as well, potentially center one. Falls to the 4th round here for us, battled some injuries, but just a really solid player all around.
Yeah. He's recovering from ACL,
I'm
right?
Very happy with the selection. I think he played, recovered it maybe from the year before, played this year, was okay. But regardless, I'm very happy with the pick here. I think they identified they wanted a center, like we talked about. They moved down, and it wouldn't surprise me if that's the guy they wanted earlier as well. I'm very happy with that selection there.
Yeah, man.
Super happy.
That's nice. That's nice. I think that, when I looked at him, early in the process, I think the biggest thing that I liked was the fact that he came in, as a true freshman, and he played some big time snaps at Auburn. And for me, that's something that you have to look at, because these guys are going up against, especially guys that are playing in the SEC and whatnot, Big Ten, where you're going up against the best competition. Do you do it at a high level, and do you do it early? Like, the dude is about to be 21 years old.
Yeah.
And the fact that you played as a true freshman, I understand, the concern, obviously, coming off the torn ACL, but man, this is a pick that not only it fits the need, but this is a pick that this is right in the spot. Connor Lou is something I would not have been shocked to see a team like the Ravens take in round 3. So, very good. Very good. Very happy with
I'm
that.
really happy with it. He's a good. He provides some much needed stability in the middle of that offensive line for the future. We cut Matt Lee, the Ohio State guy, after McLaughlin or whatever his name was, ended up getting picked up by the Lions, I believe it was, over the offseason. You needed somebody here. You clearly tore his ACL in October. So,
man, I love
that's
this
a
pick.
little tough, obviously, but he'll probably be fine by the time training camp rolls around. But again, this isn't a day one starter. This isn't.
He's considered a high IQ player, man.
Yeah,
like they're saying here, he started 25 games at Auburn. This guy is a dude who did get center one hype, obviously before the ACL tear and stuff like that. But this is a pick that I think makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons, and he's also a guy that's expected to be ready by camp. All right, so
yeah, absolutely.
2023 freshman All-American, do 6 starts. This is what I can get behind. I'm pumped up about it. We just talked about, Ted Karras and obviously what his future could hold after this season. Will he retire? Will he consider retiring? The Bengals needed to draft a center at some point, especially with the release of Matt Lee. You got to feel good about this pick, man. I feel damn good about this pick.
Yeah, me too, man. Like it's the first pick that's not for right now. That doesn't have a role for the year, but the future role is pretty obvious. He is your surefire center of the future. That's what you drafted him to be. You drafted him to be the successor to Ted Karras.
Ian Rappaport said Connor Lou would have been a late first, early second if he didn't tear his ACL. That's what he said.
That feels like a insane value. Then I mean, I knew he would probably have went a little earlier, because that's exactly what you want to scoop him, especially when you don't have the need to play day one. He can come and he can sit. He can really make sure he's healthy, ready to go and take over the following season. Just a really good player, a young player.
Yes.
Like the fit makes a lot of sense. He's not going to be asked to do anything year one unless it's emergency situations. It's a really fun pick, really high upside pick, really, really big need on the team, on the roster as well. A lot of boxes make sense here for a center. We debated it for the last couple of days, the last couple of minutes, everything leading up to it. Connor Lou is certainly a guy that fans should be excited about.
Yeah, man. Shout out to B. Henry and Ty. Both guys, they did predict Connor Lou. Shout out to them,
Marcus
man.
Mulcher tweets out, the Bengals are crushing this draft. Connor Lou at pick 128 is awesome. This is a starting center in the NFL.
Yeah. Will Lee to the Panthers here next pick. That's good.
Lee.
I like that a lot. But I mean, this is a really good. Pick. That's a really good pick for the Bengals here.
Yeah,
man. Again, your day one impact is non-existent, but at you're gonna feel the presence of Connor Lou in the short term in the next few years after whenever Ted eventually hangs it up. I think you're super confident and excited about what he can be for you in the future.
We got Sean Brennan in the chat. He said, God, I love the draft, man. We appreciate my boy, our guy, for tuning in.
It's a good pick, man. This is a good pick.
This is good.
And guess what? Like they ignored the noise. Listen, I like Pat Coogan, right?
Yeah.
Right. This is a dude who gets a lot of praise, but I didn't feel he was the best center on the board, guys.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like he got a lot more attention, obvious, because Indiana won the national championship this year. But that's a good player too. And I feel like the Raiders probably going to try to take a shot on him at some point to try to pair him up. Just again, a guy that Fernando Mendoza knows and has a relationship with. But Connor Lou is a great pick, man. I didn't think Connor Lou would be available at this spot either, man. But this to me, you know, it feels like remember the previous years, guys, we were always like, man, we want the Bengals to take a shot on some of these guys, And it's always those guys who are injured or whatever the case may be, but they come in with a lot of value.
Yeah.
Think about it. This feels almost like Seth McLaughlin, but a little bit on a higher level, right?
Much higher.
Right. Seth McLaughlin is the guy the Bengals got. I think he was an undrafted free agent for the Bengals, and obviously the Lions stole him away from us. But they needed to address this position, and I feel very, very good about the spot. Now you can breathe a sigh of relief. Now you feel like, okay, we can rest a little bit. Now with this next pick coming up, that the Bengals have in the fourth round, because we know they have 2 fourth-round draft picks, one of them being Connor Lou. Man, I'd still attack offensive line again. I could see a world in which Brian Parker could make sense, or maybe one of these backup tackles. I'm not really in on Isaiah World. I don't want to get beaten down too much, brother.
The only thing I will say about World is he would have so much time to develop until he's needed to start.
Yeah,
and if that's ever he would. I mean, he's a back. We don't need a tackle. In the next couple of years. I mean, Orlando's what 2 more years, maybe even 3 with his extension. Obviously, Amarius Mims is on the rookie deal still. So, like, if you did take World, I think you're betting on the development that you can have him. And weirdly enough, the Bengals did develop the offensive lineman last year, so maybe you can afford to take that shot. I wouldn't love it myself either, but it's like I see it. I see what they're thinking. I see what they're seeing a little bit. I wouldn't hate it just because we do need a backup swing tackle, but I don't know. I like Cronover a little bit more than World if you were to be there. But again, it's kind of your last if you really want a true tackle. There's not many you feel awesome about. So really fun pick for the Chargers here too. Genesis Smith. This is a great value for him on the board.
I still can't believe Kamari Ramsey's still here, man.
I think a lot of people, man.
He's still here. Like
I think a lot of people are just looking at the fact that. And this was a total mess up on their team. They played him in the slot a lot this year. He's not a slot in my opinion. This is a guy that can play free. He can play in the box. But I liked him best as a free safety. And this is a guy where even him, Kilgore, those are 2 guys that at the safety position, Kilgore maybe more obviously that nickel guy. But Ramsey was a guy last year. I was looking, he was projected to come out of the draft. And I was saying, hey, round 2, round 3. He's getting a lot of buzz, but this past year, I think the teams are just a little off because he played in the slot. He didn't look good in the slot. It's not his role. So we'll see about the Bengals wise, but I think he will be a good pro.
Yeah. What do we think we're going to be looking at next for the Bengals? I think honestly, to me, in my eyes, I think we have filled some of the most pressing needs to me. Like I feel like if they wanted to open up a little bit here and do something out of the blue, I think this would be the pick to do so. Obviously, I think they still should try to add another offensive lineman at some point in the draft. Maybe a linebacker like player eventually down the board, but I'm not pressing here either. But I think they could go a number of ways. I think corner is still a position that they could target. I think this is a good tight end spot too. I think this could even be a good receiver spot. If they wanted to add safeties to the room, there's a number of solid safeties as well. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. I think if the Bengals drafted a tight end, in my opinion, it would have to be a guy that lives in line. I think they're tired of the Drew Sample changing in and out with that. So maybe that leans, the Jack Andreas's of the world, Daquan Wrights of the world, the Riley Nowakowskis of the world. Joe Royer as well. again, but if they really do want a tackle, I will say this is the last opportunity to really grab any sort of tackle with
Yep.
that you'd feel okay about. Again, we don't need one anytime soon, but we still need that swing tackle. But I don't know. Are you going to draft a guy is going to be back up for the next 3 years here? Maybe. Like, I don't think that's a big deal, especially because it is tackle, and the swing tackle position is extremely valuable. But that's something that needs to be debated and brought up if you do select one.
Yeah, man. Just looking at it, like,
Thanks, Bob the Wizard, for the super chat. We appreciate you. He said, hope y'all boys celebrate today when the draft is over. Thanks for all the coverage. Bob, thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for the super chat. Thank you guys for supporting. Again, we've been live. It's crazy. We were doing the math. We've been live for a total of 10 plus hours, probably going on 11 hours. If you count Wednesday, well, you got to count Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and now Saturday. We've been live for 11 plus hours, man. And this has been fun, man. This is what it's about. This is the exciting part, man. And the Bengals still got one more pick, man. They still got one more pick, to add. And, I think getting 4 picks within the 150 range is great trade out. Great trade out. You don't pick again until the 6th round, right?
Yeah.
All right. Don't pick again until the 6th round. So you got to make this one count.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, man, Duke and them boys working, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
very solid, very good offseason.
Obviously, we're not roaming social media right now necessarily, but like I'm a Jeremiah Wright
Good pick
to the Saints.
Mm.
There's your guy, Daniel.
It's a good pick.
They've had interesting drafts as well. Delp went earlier. They had a weird one in there mixed in, I think.
Well, they got defensive tackle, Christian Miller.
Oh, okay, Saints. So the Saints, where are you?
Yeah, Christian Miller, Jeremiah Wright, Oscar Delp.
No, they didn't have anybody weird.
Jordan Tyson.
Yeah, no, that's a
good draft.
It's a good draft for them, for a competing football team too. Delp can come in and play pretty. All due respect, shout out Noah Fant. But like, I know they have the Oregon guy from Jawan Johnson, former receiver, but a little bit more of a compliment. It's fun Saints draft.
And one thing I will say is, offensive line Scott Peters, coach. Offensive line coach Scott Peters. Got to give him credit, man. He had the Dylan Fairchild shout, and a lot of people weren't too high on that pick, man. And Dylan Fairchild turned out to be pretty damn good pick for the Bengals. You know what I mean? So like drafting these hog mollies, these guys that can come in here and obviously play a role. This is his pick. This is his draft pick. This is his guy. This is the guy that he assessed he wanted. He said, I'm taking him over Sam Hetch. I feel very good, man. So if they go offensive line shout again, it's got to make sense. But again, guys, I can't stop this sneaky suspicion. Would the Bengals take Landon Robinson?
I think they could, bro.
Would the Bengals take Landon Robinson, 14 and a half sacks? Would they take him with the last pick in the 4th round?
Ravens just traded up probably for Landon Robinson.
They traded up 21 spots. I think
they could. We talked about it earlier with Hall a little bit.
This is when you look at GMs, and every GM is different. But the Rams, for example, right? The way that they explained their Ty Simpson pick, they said, hey, we had 2 first-round picks. One of them is Trent McDuffie. Okay, so we have pick number 13, and we're willing to throw it out and try something different. I think the Bengals could look at this, say, hey, we traded back. We went out. We got Connor Lou. We have pretty much every hole filled up. Let me go and throw a dart on somebody that I believe is a starting caliber defensive tackle. And if they believe that's Landon Robinson, sure, I would not. I'm good off that here. But
the interesting part about Landon Robinson, if we drafted Landon Robinson, it'd be very similar to Cassius Howe, a little bit of a bigger outlier for us, but a guy that is a pass rushing specialist. Mm-hmm. That's what he does. I don't know if that's something they would look for with the current room. I do think they need some juice in the room. But
weird, man.
Oh,
it's Matthew Hibner. That's weird.
Okay.
They needed a tight end. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, they did, but they still need a center.
Yep.
Too.
Wait, who have they drafted?
They drafted two wide receivers.
Another tight end. They drafted
Charlie Kolar.
They drafted
no, Charlie's on the Chargers.
Charles,
and Likely's gone.
Likely as well.
So Andrews is there, and
they needed a tight end. They 100% needed a tight end. But I'm trying to find. I think here's the Ravens draft. They took Ione, and then they took Zion Young, good pick. Jacoby Lane, Surratt, Hibner. Interesting group of skill positions there.
Yeah.
Hibner's he's another one of those guys that we were talking about. That he's a blocking guy, but he's got a little more juice to him than some of these other guys. Nearly 15 yards per catch in his career, but just Like another guy that's really down at the board. You can see it literally on screen. First 3 seasons played only special teams at Michigan, and then it was like, shit, I want to actually catch the ball and do things. Transferred down and played well. So like, and those profiles are always interesting because Michigan is obviously a very good football team, and their tight ends historically have done well in the NFL. But so the fact he couldn't necessarily crack that rotation showed there is a talent there and the upside there, and that's one of the positives about NIL and the transfer portals. These guys can go and show who they are, and that's what he did this year. A little bit of a risky swing just because of that, but there is some upside there, at least opposed to some of the other strict blocking tight ends that we've seen.
Yeah, man. So we got 5 picks until the Bengals are up.
Yeah.
Bengals, and can't keep bringing this up, but man, the trade back is something. Not only is it more fun, but very, very good for the roster construction. Just because you get 2 guys here in the spot that are high quality backups that can slot in as starters, versus if you didn't before at round 6, you're not getting that. So just looking at some of the guys, man, like you could take a swing on somebody weird. You really could. They could go with a wide receiver. The best guys on the board, obviously, people are throwing out Kyle Lewis. He's definitely one of the best. I don't know if he's a Bengal. Jalen Kilgore would make sense from a need perspective.
I think. I mean, again, I don't know. I keep coming back to these corners. I think Chandler Rivers and Keith Abney, again, a little bit more inside out versatility. Chandler Rivers is more of a slot than Abney is. So if they want to add a guy that profiles more as a natural slot, to pair him with Tacario Davis, because here's the thing about our cornerback room. We like to assume that one of DJ Turner or Dax is going to be here long term. We all kind of assume it's DJ Turner with the jersey change, becoming the first number 0 in Bengals history. Cool, love that. And then you draft Tacario Davis. Cool, love that. He's a part of the future. But then everybody else in the cornerback room is either hasn't really proven anything or is a free agent next year. There's a world where let's say we draft, just for example, Chandler Rivers. There's a world where not this upcoming season, but the season after, your starting corners are DJ Turner, Tacario Davis, and whatever corner you draft to play the slot. Like that is a real possibility. Like so, I think that's why I really do want to look back into the cornerback room, because the path for playing time for them relatively soon is there. So I would really like for them to find another corner here. I would go more of a slot specific, but again, if they want to go with Keith Abney, who has some of that outside versatility, maybe, if he has a good camp, he can start on the outside. Dax goes to the inside. If Tacario Davis gets banged up, these guys get banged up, you have a little bit more versatility as well. But I would really like another corner or somebody that can play in the slot here, I think.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an option.
Here.
I really wouldn't be surprised to see them double dip at offensive line, and I feel like that's probably the most expected. But like, what do you have? Well, relying on Cody Ford as backup swing tackle, Jalen Rivers. You said what?
Maybe, I don't know.
Like, I would. This is the last spot you're gonna get, and outside of this, what are you gonna hope for? Like,
I mean, we talked about it a little bit. Not that these guys, I'm not saying these guys are problem solvers or anything, but I did like they picked up Javon Foster near the back end of the year off of waivers, and they have a UDFA last year, Caleb Etienne from BYU, that fit their mold of tall, lanky tackles. There's a world where they view them highly and maybe go off of that swing tackle. I'm not saying they should, but I did like Foster coming out of Missouri a few years ago. It hasn't worked out so far for him, but again, for once, the offensive line coach and the offensive line room has gotten a lot of these players. Maybe they are invested in the development of those 2 guys. Again, I'm not saying they should not draft one, but I think if they don't, that would be why.
Can I interest you on something if the Bengals didn't go tackle?
Another Lou Anarumo pick here.
What if they went Nicholas Singleton?
The running back?
Penn State.
I like some of these backs. I really like some of these backs.
That's Marissa's guy. Like that's a dude who was getting real buzz earlier in the year. Right?
What, broke his foot? Is that who that was, or is that the other one? Katron Allen.
I think that was Allen.
I knew one of them did. But yeah, I mean, these Penn State running backs, this Penn State football team are freak athletes. And he fits the mold of that. Again, we like Taj Brooks here. Nothing to prevent you from drafting one. But again, like Chase Brown is coming up on a contract extension. Are the Bengals in a place to give a running back a contract extension? Probably not. Truth be told, doesn't mean they won't. That doesn't mean the price will be a lot for Chase Brown, but it wouldn't shock me if they did something a little different out of the blue there at running back.
Yeah, man. And once again, running back's one of my favorite positions. I love this position, to be honest. Like, I like Singleton. It's kind of weird. Like, when I watch him, and this is like a weird shout. He runs like, I don't know. He's just such a weird run. It's almost like he's high stepping as he's running, but he's got long strides. And I think that Penn State team, they were struggling to figure out who is their lead back. I like Singleton out of the backfield, though, with him versus Kaytron Allen. So that's probably the biggest bright side I see with going with Singleton is he does give you the upside of the backfield. But to be honest, if we're looking at running back, I think that two guys that they would like a lot, I really think that they'll like Emmett Johnson. Just a Big Ten running back to where he had elite production at the collegiate level, and especially this past season. I mean, going 1,100, 1,200 yards, had a phenomenal season, and a guy that can really just win between the tackles. But I also, once again, I like him as a pass protector. So that's something else that does kind of mold my shape of running backs for the Bengals is a guy that's got to be able to do it in the pass game as well with how much the Bengals rely on the receiving game. So I like Emmett Johnson. And then just my two favorites. Adam Randall's such a good running back to where I think a team's going to get a steal, and this is probably a reach for him for the Bengals. But man,
Deion Burke's still available too.
Deion Burks, I love. I don't think that the Bengals will go,
No,
but he is, bro. Like he's a player that hell for the Bengals. Why not? Like just a phenomenal athlete, a guy that it's a perfect buy low spot where he didn't have a great college career, but athletically he tests well. And when you turn on the film, his explosiveness jumps out. And that's something when you're watching guys at the collegiate level, I just want guys that are looking so much better than their peers. And he looked so much faster, after the catch than his peers at the cornerback spot at a big time school. So I really would not be upset with him. And this is the spot where I wish that this team would go skill position. And once again, this is just the fan in me saying skill positions are something that are needed. And for the Bengals, you said it. Chase Brown at the running back spot, he's good, but he's not under contract long term.
Mm-mm.
Taj Brooks, everybody likes Taj Brooks, but you can get better. So I'd be looking at skill position, to be honest with you.
If we decided to double dip at corner, it's kind of interesting. I like this guy and for some depth, but knowing they clearly have valued length at the cornerback position nowadays, and we kind of have this trend of reuniting college teammates. How about Takario Davis's college teammate, Ephesians Prysock, another 6'4" corner he's 6'3", listed at 6'3", a 4.45 40-yard dash with a 39-inch vertical leap. If they're going to continue to invest in big corners, why not keep two teammates that already have some familiarity playing with each other, and again can just do a number of different things. He's played a little bit more in the slot, actually, unlike Davis has. I mean, not a ton, a little bit over 100 career snaps and outside corner. But again, when a defensive coordinator comes out and says we like length at this position, it's something we're going to continue to value. It's if you're going to consider drafting one, maybe they double dip at the Washington 6'4" corners. I don't think I'd be too upset about that. I'd still maybe prefer a little bit more of a true slot, but if I'm just going with what Al Golden said, I think that's not a bad connection to make.
And I agree with you, B. Henry, 89-85. He says, I feel Lewis is a safety. He can cover, just gets pushed around too much at linebacker. He's a big project. I agree. I don't know if he's a full-time linebacker in the NFL.
Small.
Yeah.
He's a smaller guy.
Small, he's quick, he's got good feet. And I know that there was some talks about him moving to safety, but and at the end of the day, that's just a solid football play. I mean, we had Dane Parson on the show. He raved about him at the combine. Like, just
Bryce
like
Lane.
to
Saints.
the Saints?
Wide receiver.
I like
Okay,
it.
Bryce
I like
Lane.
it. Yo, man, Saints.
It's another receiver.
Saints are having a good draft. It's very similar to the mold of, oh man, I'm forgetting the guy who I loved last year, went to the Falcons, leading receiver for San Jose State.
Oh.
But at the end of the day, this is a mold of guys for this is a mold of guys where a smaller school wide receiver who just dominated absolutely dominated. I mean, you're just looking at a guy who is a productive wide receiver, and I'm always willing to take a shot on these guys. I mean, you just look at it, 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons, elite, catch radius, a guy who's just a solid possession receiver. So for the Saints, you have to add wide receivers. I love the fact that they got Jordan Tyson, Chris Olave, Bryce Lance. This is a solid, very solid wide receiver room for them.
Overton went to the Cowboys.
That's a
I knew that
Cowboys
was
pick,
coming.
man.
I thought that'd be. I think that's a guy the Bengals would like in general. If he's that stereotypical edge that we've been drafting the last couple of years. Long, lanky, big, thicker guy with no pass rushing juice. Essentially, great run defending player. But the Cowboys have now added a couple elite run defenders with Overton and Deshaun Barham.
Yeah, and then who they take? They took Caleb Downs, and then they took Malachi Lawrence as well.
Yeah, Malachi Lawrence as well. And they've had an interesting one.
So with the Cowboys, then that means the Bengals are 2 picks away.
Yep,
2 picks away, man.
Shelton as well.
Drop your guys' predictions in the comments. Nick Nash, that's who I was thinking.
Yeah,
I knew it was somebody.
So for me, Brian Parker, again, a guy that I would be super interested in here, but not just Brian Parker. I would say Kamari Ramsey. Those are 2 guys that I really, really like.
Write one down again.
I'm right. I'm trying.
I can't believe Kamari Ramsey's still here.
Bruh.
I can't believe it. Will they go defense again though?
They can. They could go secondary. This is one. You could go anything. And to be honest with you, and this is just early on, bro, I'm happy with the draft.
Yeah,
I'm happy with it. Like at this point, like we'll see what they do here, but I'm cool with it, man. This is man. I got good vibes about this one. I got good vibes about this draft.
it's a quality draft.
Yeah,
it's a quality draft. While we got you guys here, if you guys do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or when we upload content from the TWSN studios. Again, as we're wrapping up the 4th round, me and the boys will be live again on Monday evening as we break everything down and talk all this stuff through and talk about positional fits. I'm excited. Bengals don't pick in the 5th round right now. So we'll be back kind of assessing all that. But, as we get geared up for the Bengals to pick here in 3 selections, man, I feel good about the pick, man. I feel you got your center of the future, right? You could still obviously add a receiver at some point, and we still don't know. Not everybody gets drafted too, right? We never know who's going to fall to us in the back end of the draft, but also undrafted free agents. These are guys that, again, are going to have to carve out a role for themselves. Anybody you're picking, I think, after this round, for the most part, even in this round, is going to have to still try to find a way to kind of carve out a role for themselves here on this football team. The one thing I like what this team has done this year is it seems like they raised the floor. Raise the floor, competition breeds success, right? The cream rises to the top. And that's what it's going to look like here in Cincinnati. Nobody's going to be given anything. Nobody's going to be handed anything. Guys going to have to go out there and earn it. And so I'm excited about it, man. I'm excited about it. They got players that I think that do different things, right? Players that do different things, players that are all a little bit different. And I feel like the one thing I'll say about this draft is they kind of ignored the traits and they went with production. And that's something that I felt like has hurt them. Right. They've kind of ignored the traits this time around. And they say, we want guys that are going to produce at a high level and hopefully that translates to the NFL. So I'm excited.
Yeah, man. I'm stoked about this draft so far. And I'm ready. I'm ready. So the Cowboys pick already happened, right? We said.
Yeah. I already forget who Malik. LT Overton. So that means we got the Dolphins, the 49ers, and then the Dolphins select Kyle Lewis.
Good
pick,
bro. Him and Jacob Rodriguez,
Chris Johnson.
Wow.
The Dolphins have had a weird but good draft. Like, I don't love Proctor, obviously, that early, but I mean,
but if you take them all as a bundle,
offensive lineman is like I can't argue. Like I went on that spiel earlier. You can't really argue how teams view that. Caden Proctor, Chris Johnson, Jacob Rodriguez. Okay,
wide receiver.
Caleb Douglas, not good. Will Kramek, whatever, not good either. But then Chris Bell and Trey Moore, I even like to a degree. They've added a ton of defensive players. Shocker.
They got Trey Moore. I didn't see that. They're in their team where, I mean, are you shocked if Proctor, Chris Johnson, Rodriguez, Lewis?
I just want to touch on this quick. Somebody said Takario Davis is the pick that they went. I'm sorry. They said Takario Davis is the pick that they went traits over production. I disagree with that. They don't have anybody that has that size on the roster. Also, he did test like a freak, but he also excelled. He excelled, right? In press man-to-man coverage. Yes, we said his hips are tight. He can get better at that, but it's worked for him thus far. Takario Davis is not a typical corner that the Bengals have drafted, a 6'4" athletic freak. So again, when I talk about positional outliers, I would consider Takario Davis a positional outlier. That's not something that they've done before. When we talk about traits, guys, we're talking about guys that kind of fit the mold of what the Bengals usually do. The 6'6" big behemoth guys they don't have a lot of bend, right? But guys that kind of just fit that mold that they think they can kind of get more out of, and they haven't been able to. And so I think Takario Davis, while again, I would say, he has the ball skills, he's aggressive, all that kind of stuff like that. You're just hoping to see it translate to the NFL level, and will he be able to push for real starter minutes, as a rookie? That's stuff that I'm talking about. So excited about that.
Yeah. So just the 49ers and then us, man.
Yeah.
Just the 49ers and then us. I think it's going to be a different one. I think it's going to be a weird one for us. I don't know what it's going to be, but I do think it's going to be weird. I still like some of the offensive linemen. I like the corners. It's the same people we've been talking about. There's some really good vibe. I still can't believe Keith Abney's here. Like
I think this is a corner. If you look at the way the 49ers have drafted too, they haven't even touched the secondary. I know they added Jack Jones. Cool.
Yeah, they could use
but
I also need interior offensive line though.
49ers?
Yeah.
They drafted Willis, who's technically a tackle, but probably will kick in if I had to guess. But still, they could still use some more bodies in the interior for sure. Oh, man, I'm a little nervous about this one.
I know. This is nice. I'm really happy that Bengals had 2 picks.
Yeah, no, this especially for us, the show purposes, it was really nice to kind of cap off the 4th round. But yeah, I think this is gonna be the first. I mean, I don't want to say the first curveball, but like the first one that's just gonna feel different than us. Howell was awesome. I really like Davis. Lou was a little bit more of the. I don't want to say obvious. We kind of knew they would go that route with one of these picks. But I'm really happy so far, and I hope that doesn't stop here. So
yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. We need the 49ers. Obviously, the Dolphins took Kyle Lewis. 49ers on the clock now, who have had a very interesting draft, to say the least. Grayson Halton pick was great.
Yep.
But that's really it. Carver Willis is fine, I'd say.
Romello Height, Stribling. I like Stribling a lot, man. Just the first pick of the 2nd round.
Yeah, they've drafted fine players. The value has just been pretty terrible outside of Grayson Halton.
Like to be honest, I think that it's like Stribling and Halton's probably your only starters you get from this draft. And Halton's not even a starter, but he's more of a niche pass rushing type guy. All right.
We know it. Have anybody seen who the 49ers have taken yet?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. Okay.
Once again, keep dropping you guys' predictions down below. Let's see if somebody gets it right. I know a couple people got the last pick right, but man, yeah, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this because this is the kind of the last pick that the Bengals have that really is. Obviously, they still have.
We got a little bit of a break after this.
In 6 and 7.
Well, we're at what pick exactly is this? What number? 1?
This is 140.
40. So we have about 50, 48, 49 picks, and so
Duke Tobin can go get a little water break, man.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I know.
But looking at best players on the board, man,
I mean, it's an interesting bunch. I mean,
somebody said Xavier Harris could be for the Bengals.
I don't know if they go back in the DT market. I mean,
I think he's going to fall a little bit too.
Yeah, he's got some interesting decisions he's made in his life and his background as well.
Who's that?
Xavier Harris.
He just has just some concerns.
Couple of arrests and
things
stuff.
that happen. So I think he's more of a sixth round guy.
Yeah. I really want to tie. Like, I think this would be a fun Justin Jolly spot for us here, but again, I don't know if that they view the tight end room different than we do. Like,
yeah,
we've been begging for tight ends for years, and we keep running out. Tanner Hudson, Drew Sample.
Hey, they've given us a couple. I mean,
Eric All was interesting, but I don't know what to expect from him anymore. Yeah. Unfortunately, doesn't mean he won't be good. Doesn't mean he won't be useful. But I think they're kind of going to give him that leeway this year to kind of get back on his feet. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll be in the market for one again the following season. If I had to guess, the thing Gesicki's contract would be up. Is this his last year?
I think he's
got his extension.
I think it was 2 more years.
So this year and then the next year still. Okay, so
chill on my guy.
I was just gonna say that we might have a lot of just openings in general because of the contracts. But even then, Mike Gesicki is never going to stop anybody from drafting a tight end just because he's not really a tight end. Good football player, really good specialist in his role, but not like a. They would still need a tight end. I'd say if he was the only
This
guy
team
who
is
had.
loaded this year.
Who?
Bengals.
Oh, yeah.
Got no excuse.
Man, okay, 49ers. Why is this pick taking 8 years? I
This is
think
one of the best rosters in the NFL.
Oh yeah, easily.
And I know
Yeah.
some people are going to be pissed off and say, "Oh, well, no, it's not." We'll talk about this obviously on the Monday show too, but this is high quality roster. We're not looking and saying praying for a safety, praying for a cornerback, praying for offensive line, defensive tackle. Got a damn good roster, man. So 49ers about to make the pick.
God, bro.
Shout out to the international fans, man.
Oh, is that who's doing this? Yeah, Mexico.
Ephesians
Ephesians prize.
eyesight. There you go. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's a 49ers pick.
Another massive corner that can run real fast. 6'3" and a half. Started every game in the last 3 years. It's fun. Him and Tacario Davis were at Arizona together, transferred to Washington together. There's clearly some connection there with him.
And now Cincinnati's up with the last pick in the.
Bengals are on the clock.
Oh, brother. It's going to be something weird.
I think so.
I know it. I don't know who. But it's just, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm interested.
I know.
Come on,
I'm
Malik.
not.
Figure it out.
I'm not looking at the chat.
I know.
Once again, keep dropping down predictions, and I'm curious to see everybody's
Ephesians
reactions
prize
to the pick.
sock. I like that for the 49ers there.
That's a good pick.
Back-to-back Washington.
Cornerback was.
Pick is in. Oh,
Bengals
Wow.
select Georgia wide receiver Colby Young.
Listen,
Talk to us.
Listen, hold on. You got me Georgia. I had Georgia guard Micah Morris.
Yeah.
Let me rip up my notes real quick for that.
To be honest, that is really,
reach.
really, really bad pick. Like I'm trying to find a way to be semi nice about it, but I just don't think you can. I don't think he's I mean, he's a bigger body receiver, I guess. You know, that's what you like. That's what you're going for there. But there's not much production. There's not much traits. There's not much anything to really go on out of all the positions that, you know, that have the upside there. There's just, there's not much to be excited about on any front. He's old, 24 already. Like, I don't think he's a good football player, and then, like, I don't think he's a good prospect. I mean, PFF again has him 230th ranked player. So many better receiving options, so many better players available. This has been, there's been a lot of bad picks, but this just joined the group for me and some of the worst picks in the draft, unfortunately. I hated the Dalton Rising, or not the Dalton, the Dylan Fairchild pick last year, and that worked out pretty well for us. But I mean, I just not a good football player, not a good prospect.
Listen. Where I fall on this, the biggest issue I have with this is I think that there are better wide receivers of the same exact mold. You are getting a big body X receiver, a guy who doesn't play in the slot. That's not his game. He's 6'4". At Georgia, he never played in the slot. I mean, outside of a couple snaps. You're getting a guy who's hopefully that backup T. Higgins role. That's what you're looking for. I think he's got a large catch radius. There were some times where I wasn't a big fan of his hands. You know, it's sometimes, and when you watch a wide receiver, you can tell if they're plucking the ball, you know, if they're fully looking or if they're more of a body catcher. I think he's got the upside. It just wasn't as consistent as I would like. And once again, he didn't really produce at the college level. And for me, like I said, the biggest problem I have, and I will get to some positives, the biggest problem I have is that same exact mold of guys. I thought that there were better wide receivers on the board. J. Michael Sertavan, Jeff Caldwell.
15 to 20 receivers I would prefer.
So I understand the process because I'm a big fan of going wide receiver. I talked about it before. I would love for them to go wide receiver. And I know Bengals fans are going to be pissed off that they didn't go slot. I don't think it's the end of the world that you didn't go slot, but it's more so the fact that the type of player you took a big body X receiver. It's fine. This isn't going to get a rave grade for me because I see a world where he can find a way into that backup T. Higgins role. And then
He makes some really insane catches.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will say I think he has strong hands, guys.
Yeah.
I think he is a dog. I wanted to let you guys give
Yeah.
your opinions on it. I know there are players that you guys would have preferred, right?
Yeah.
And I understand for the reasoning why.
Tested a little
And,
better than I thought looking at
Yeah,
it, to be honest.
you know,
Tested a little better than I thought.
I get it. I don't think that it's a terrible pick, man. He's a fast, to me, when you turn on the tape and you
Yeah.
watch him a little bit, man, he's faster than a guy like what was the guy's name? Auden Tate that the Bengals had.
Yep.
Yeah.
But he's got strong hands. The Texans get Kamara Ramsey, by the way.
Oh, that's a good pick. That's a good pick.
Yeah, that's a good pick by them. But man, at the end of the day, I think that this is got a strong-handed wide receiver. Again, uphill climb we'll see if he makes the roster. I've got to think he will make the roster.
He can
absolutely.
let me add. He can compete like with Mitchell Tinsley because that's who's slotted behind T. Higgins.
Maybe they think he's going to complete. Maybe they think he comes in and competes with a guy like Andre Yoshivas, who does so much things. And Ben, I that's literally what I was just saying. I was saying I loved Auden Tate. I was the biggest Auden Tate fan when he was here in Cincinnati. The coaching staff didn't like him. I know they asked him to move the tight end at one point in time. He didn't want to do that. I wasn't saying that as a bad thing, brother. So again, I like the Colby Young pick. I'm excited to see. They obviously have a thought in mind of how they would like to use him. It's, to me, again, this draft is about getting guys that are different, right?
Yep.
To me, I feel like when you look at it, you knew what you have at Andre Yoshivas, a receiver, and I think he's a free agent after this year, right? Are you going to really re-sign Andre Yoshivas, right?
Yeah.
Probably not, right? There are a bunch of other guys I would have rather have had, but I try to put myself in those shoes and try to see the vision. Somebody said Tinsley will get reps in the slot.
No, he
Tinsley
won't. I don't even know if he
struggled
makes
to
the
run
team.
with the opportunity that he got last year.
How does he make the team?
And Mitchell Tinsley, to me, wasn't also even a slot receiver. And I feel like they gave him opportunities on the outside, on the inside. And the guy just didn't run with it. It showed that when you didn't have T. Higgins or you didn't have all these other guys, guys missing time, nobody was really stepping up into that role to sort of take off the load. And so at the end of the day, what was it, an A+ pick? No, 100% it wasn't, right? But we're assessing that based off of what we saw him do at college, basing it also off of what we wanted to see them do. I think it was an interesting pick. We'll see how it all shakes out.
I will say another thing that just gives me some major qualms about this is another guy with several arrests in his background already. I mean, the skill set is already something you're taking a risk on. The production is something you're taking a risk on. Now you're taking another major risk on a personality with multiple arrests, battery and assault arrests, suspended from the teams in Georgia.
Yeah.
There's the player can be good. The traits can be there. Again, he tested better than I originally thought. Maybe I was thinking of the other Georgia receiver, but there's not much. There's so much. There's the risk is glaring at you with the pick here, and the upside is there for sure. The upside is there, but the issues are loud, and the issues are extreme. I think that's
is he 6'5" or is he 6'3"? There's conflicting reports about his height. He looks like he's 6'5".
He looks huge. He looks huge. I just saw it. I just looked at it.
There's so many conflicting reports about it.
He's 6'4.5". So that's what he measured at. 6 feet, 4.6 inches.
Okay.
With the 4.49 40-yard dash.
Okay. Just making
traits
sure.
There, but
was he at Miami?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was at Miami and then transferred down to a junior college, and then came back up to Georgia.
So a guy coming in with obvious character concerns, right?
Yeah.
Another guy you're taking a shot on, obvious character concerns. We got to familiarize ourselves a little bit more. Again, we'll let this digest, and we're going to be live again on Monday discussing this thing through, man. But you got to be concerned about the off the field stuff, man. But again, it goes back to one of those the same assessment we had before. If you can get the off the field stuff on check, could he be a contributor with this team? And again, the culture that they're trying to build with guys like Dexter Lawrence, yada yada yada. And this isn't me trying to save face. I'm simply just trying to see the positive, see what their thought process was with this. I don't know. We'll see.
You're looking at a big body receiver with speed and that high athleticism.
Yeah.
That's it. You're banking that you. The thing is, we talk about it with some of the edges developing him, some of the linemen not being able to develop them. We've already shown we can't make things work with a guy with pretty obvious character concerns coming in the draft. So what makes you think you can do it now? well, man, you know, like what about that Jermaine Burton situation gives you confidence that you're going to be able to fix this guy this time around? Not only that, it's just like there's so many there's probably better fits on the team. There's again height, trait, speed guy. Cool. You can live with that to a degree, but there's better receivers. The profile is interesting. The character concerns are glaring. I mean, again, if you want to look at the upside, sure, I won't knock you there, but you got to look at the reality and the floor of the situation. The floor of this player is out of the league in a few years and a really small contributor like that. And that's just the truth of the matter. That doesn't mean he won't hit that upside. That doesn't mean he can't make some big catches. But like, there's just the odds of him hitting the ceiling feel minuscule compared to the odds of him hitting the floor.
Yeah, and just to, once again, this is not copium, but just to talk about the ceiling, right? You talked about the floor. The ceiling of this guy immediately is just that backup T. Higgins role. And you hope that this guy, because we've seen it in the past, right? T. Higgins goes down with an injury. We saw a couple times 2 years ago, we had Jermaine Burton try to step in for that role, didn't take that role against the Baltimore Ravens. And then we had last year, Mitchell Tinsley tried to step into that role. He couldn't run with the opportunity. And when you look at the Bengals wide receiving room, it's something that we all clamored and said they could add as a backup. We're not, sold on Andre Yosivas being the number 3 wide receiver in 2 years right now. So for Young, it really is just that big body X receiver. If T. Higgins goes down, or you need a guy that can run block it, that's your guy. So the traits are there. Production wasn't there. There are a lot of concerns about him. At the end of the day, I agree. I think that this was a reach, but we will see because, and this goes for all Bengals fans. I'm very confident we're going to see in preseason. We're going to see a 50-50 ball get thrown up. And we're going to see him make a highlight play, and everybody's going to be like, hold on, what's going on? So
the traits are there, man. That's all I'll say. I mean, the traits are there, the height's there. Got the building blocks, but
yeah. Well, hey, listen, Connor Lou, right? First pick in the 4th round, Colby Young, second pick in the 4th round.
Can't make them all.
Listen, the Bengals came away with, they drafted 2, right? Two defensive guys, 2 wide receiver. And we had to know that was coming. We had to know they weren't going to go defensive heavy, no matter how much we wanted them to. Unless you have like a defensive-minded coach, offense wins in this league. And again, at the end of the day, they wanted to make sure they added to that position. I imagine they're picking the 6th round probably will maybe be whatever defensive player falls or makes sense BPA. We'll see. Maybe even one of these backup tackles. Certainly, you think you can look at the roster. I think we can all agree to this and say, hey, you probably need to add a veteran linebacker, right? You probably maybe want to see what you can get, maybe a backup swing tackle, or maybe you are fine with Cody Ford out there. I have no idea what the thought process there. But listen, the Bengals don't have a 5th round pick, so that's it for us. We appreciate you guys for tuning in to our stream. We've been live for 2 hours this time around, man. So 12 total hours.
I feel like a short one.
We appreciate you guys, man. We appreciate you guys so much. If you guys could do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live. Again, we're pretty excited that you guys had tuned in for the last couple of days. We got a comment in here from Huday Moss says Colby Young is the same size as Yoshi, but runs better routes and more fluid, so she gets some separation. We good. We're seeing some people that are pretty excited about this pick. Again, we'll see exactly how the Bengals continue to fill out this roster.
Yosivas is also 6'3". He's not like this. Cole and maybe
Colby Young's bigger than Yosivas. He's bigger than Yosivas for sure. But again, at the end of the day, I'm not freaking out. I think that the Bengals have had a hell of an offseason. I think that they hit on a lot of these picks, and again, I'm excited to see how it all shakes out, how it all unfolds. We hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday, the rest of your draft weekend. We will see you guys back here Monday as we break it all down, discuss it all through. Special thanks to our sponsor, Pastiza's Pizza. Make sure you guys give them a shout when you guys are in the Cincinnati area. Again, they are brand new to the Cincinnati area, but their pizza is phenomenal. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hope you guys have enjoyed the live draft stream. We appreciate you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys Monday at 7 p.m. as we discuss and break down all of the Bengals selections and their undrafted free agents of the 2026 NFL Draft.
This is